everybody here with the days, so to speak, if you go ahead and push your recording button down. Everybody got it? All right. Okay, welcome to the City of Daytona Beach's Nuisance Abatement Board meeting for February 5th, 2024. I am the chair of the board, Paul Rice, and I'm officially calling the meeting to order, and I'll ask the board secretary to call the roll, please.
Good morning. Kara Keefe? Here. Kevin Murphy?
Here.
Ann Ruby?
Here.
Paul Rice?
Here.
And Scott Simpson?
Here, and just for the record, I'm the board attorney. I'm not a board member, but I'm the board attorney.
Thank you, sir. Okay, all right, so we will turn this over to Sergeant Timothy Blowers, who will be the liaison for the City of Daytona Beach Police Department. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Sergeant Timothy Blowers, Daytona Beach Police Department. I'm the Code Enforcement Liaison, and we're here to present the nuisance abatement court hearing reference 600 North Ridgewood.
If I may approach first, okay. Mr. Chair, members of the board, the city has had an opportunity to discuss this case and related to this nuisance abatement with the respondent.
Could you just, for the record, announce who you are, Tony?
Oh, yes, again,
Okay,
Anthony
thanks.
Jackson, attorney for the city, representing the city in this nuisance abatement.
Thank you.
I spoke with their counsel, who is Calvin Daniels, and I anticipate, Mr. Daniels, if he can come forward, that we'll be announcing that they stipulate to the finding of nuisance. We do want to present, for the board's sake, if you can go that one. we do anticipate, we do, and he has agreed that for the sake of the board, we do want to present the factual basis so that you would be able to make, have the information necessary as we discuss the sanctions as a result of the finding or the abatement plan as a result of the finding. And if I'll look to Mr. Daniels.
Have Mr. Danielson go ahead and announce yourself and what your capacity is.
I'm Kelvin Daniels for the J Food Store.
Okay. And do you have any representatives from the food store here, or
Yes, Mr. Tyne is here. The owner is present. Raymond Said, REMUN
Yeah, and just to make clarification, there's a business and a property, so we have, and I believe the business is owned, is it Family Food Store? Oh, I'm sorry, Gatlin Brothers is the property owner. So who's here on behalf? Which owner? Who's the owner of Gatlin Brothers that's present? Okay, why don't you just come forward, just announce yourself, just so we can just perfect the record if we could.
Mr. Chair, maybe before we move forward on that, if we go ahead and have everyone sworn, the city witnesses as well as those that would be
Great
heard
idea.
from
Okay,
regarding
just 1 second, sir.
the respondent.
Sir,
Okay,
can you,
if we could have all the potential witnesses who will be testifying today. And Madam Secretary,
From the other
can you
do
state,
you want to get everyone's name, or you just want to just swear the witnesses and we'll just?
I need their names.
Okay, great. Let's just start probably closest to you over here, sir.
All right, sir. It'll be Justin Deal, Justin. My last name is Deal, Deal.
Okay.
Detective Sean Clark, CLARK. I'm with the City of Daytona Beach.
And Mr. Deal, you with the City of Daytona Beach as well?
Yes, sir.
My name is Rochelle Clark, CLARK. I'm with Number Box Accounting Services.
All right, and sir?
Yes, my name is Raymond Said, and I'm the owner of Family Food Store and partner with Gatlin Brothers of Daytona LLC.
Okay, all right. And who's your partner on Gatlin Brothers?
I have my brother down south with me in that property.
Okay, okay,
Yes.
great, all right. And so you're both, who is Angela and Brittany Inc.?
That's,
That's
yeah,
you as well,
doing
Mr. Said?
business, yes, doing business, yes.
Okay, okay.
Everybody raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I could ask Ms. Clark, I'm not sure what her
Roll is,
role is, yeah.
I am his accountant,
Is meaning,
Mr. Said?
Mr. Said's
okay,
accountant.
thank you.
Okay, okay. All right, now, Sergeant Blowers, you're indicating that the, and I don't want to speak for Mr. Daniels and the business property owner, you're indicating that there might be a stipulation that the property is a public nuisance? Mr. Jackson, were you saying we need to establish a factual basis for that? Did I hear you say something to that effect?
To the extent that the purpose and intent of the board is not only to make the finding of whether or not there's a public nuisance, but also to make determinations as to how this nuisance should be abated and what sanctions, if any, should be imposed.
Okay. And
So
how-
to that extent, we have expressed our desire to present just, which would be very similar to what's already in the packet that had been submitted to the board, but we would desire to present to the, through our witnesses, the information regarding the status of the property.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hear all the officers on their testimony, and then I assume at the end of the testimony, we'll have the city introduce the various
That's,
arrest affidavits or,
that's
into
correct.
evidence? Okay,
Yes,
all
just so
right.
that's made established as part of the record. Of
Fair
course, we'll be asking for, as I discussed with Mr. Daniels, we'll be asking for the normal, which would be you'd have a one-year jurisdiction, and so it like a record for if something should arise.
Okay. Mr. Daniels, is that acceptable to you? Or you obviously have you're entitled to due process, opportunity to be heard, cross-examine witnesses, so.
Yeah, in order to, we got 8 different arrests on here. So, in the interest of time, and because of the sanctions that can be applied by the board, speaking to Mr. Syed, yeah, we would listen to the side, and I probably would not cross-examine them right now, and stipulate to some sort of sanctions that could be imposed against the J Food Store by this board, if any are necessary.
Okay, all right.
But if
Sounds
I
good.
could just make the record clear as well for Mr. Daniels, the first finding of this board would be a finding of whether or not there is a public nuisance, and I believe that's a stipulation you're making. at
Right,
this
yes,
point.
yes.
Okay, so we are, so the property owner and business the property owner and business owner are stipulating that the property
Right.
business is a
And
public
we told
nuisance.
so understand that, yeah.
So,
So, yeah, again, yeah, Ms. Syed would be fine with that, yes.
Okay.
The stipulation.
okay, so you are stipulating that.
Yes, for the purposes of this process, yes, we are.
Okay, and you agree with that, Mr. Syed? Yes. All right, thank you. Okay, in that case, why don't you gentlemen take a seat, and then let's try to, efficiently get through the testimony of the officers. So we can turn it over to Sergeant Blowers and.
Yes, sir. I'll turn it over to Sergeant Blowers and let him present in a manner which is familiar to the board.
Okay, sounds good. All right, and so if you want to just have your officers testify, Sergeant, to the different incidents, and at the end of the presentation, you can introduce the evidence that is supported by that testimony.
Okay. Here's pictures of the Jay's Food Store, just so you know what the property looks like.
All right, you're talking a little bit low, so either
Sorry.
get closer or speak up. Thank you.
These are pictures of the Jay Food Store, so that way you can see what the property looks like.
Front door,
Front door.
inside looking out.
Yes.
What's the angle here?
This is from the north looking south across the parking lot. Jay's Food Store, AKA Family Food Incorp., has over a 20-year history of being a blight to the city, and this is the third case brought before it. If you go to tab 3, on January 24th, 2023, a sale of cocaine was made within 1,000 feet of a place of worship. An affidavit was completed by Detective Deal. Case number 230001137, and a certified letter from Jakari Young, Chief of Police, was mailed to the property owner notifying of the illegal activity. This is the location in which the deal occurred.
And is that arrow indicating the front of the building?
Yes, right by the door.
All right.
Do you need to hear any more on this?
I didn't know if you're, Mr. Jackson, did you,
Whatever you intend to present, if the officers feel the need to, but I'm fine with.
I don't really have anything else on that one, other than that. So that deal actually happened on the ledge
For
of the
record,
window.
This is Officer Deal
Yes, sir.
making the deal.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So that actually was on the ledge of the window of the property. So that's all I have to add to that one.
Okay. super.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Just before you move on, just the thing that we usually look for is, was it on their property? Yes or no?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And was the location on the property indicated it's right in front of the front door, and I think it was on the ledge of the window on the front door, is what I had read. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And this occurred January 24th, 2023. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And after the purchase, the cocaine tested presumptively positive for cocaine?
I guess it did.
Okay. That's good. That's what, help you prove up your case there.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
On February 2nd, 2023, a sale of cocaine was made at 600 North Ridgewood. An affidavit was completed by Detective Clark. Case number 230001646. A certified letter from Jakari Young, Chief of Police, was mailed to the property owner notifying of the illegal activity.
We're in tab 4, just so I'm.
Tab 4 of the
Thank you,
book.
sir.
And here's the location on the property where it occurred.
Oops, sorry, Detective Clark with Daytona.
Yes, sir.
On this particular case, we purchased cocaine, approximately 0.6 grams of cocaine. The deal actually occurred right in the front entrance of the J Food Store, but on the outside portion. And we field tested the cocaine, which came back as a presumptive reaction for cocaine.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Mr. Simpson?
And I think we all know the answer to this, but just so we're clear under the way the statute, our code's written and the statute's written, cocaine meets the definition of a controlled substance as a Schedule 1 through 5 under Florida Statute 893.03?
Yes.
It is? Okay. And are all the cases involving cocaine that you're going to present?
Except for a cigarette case, I think.
The cigarette case, okay. So whenever you refer to cocaine, you're referring to a controlled substance per state law and city code?
Yes, sir.
And, Mr. Chair, I realize that I don't believe that Mr. Daniels has a copy of this, that you're viewing as far as the.
You want to hand it to him so he can
tab,
follow
so I'll
along?
provide this one for him.
Okay, sure.
If you move on to tab 5,
Okay.
on February 14th, 2023, a sale of cocaine was made at 600 North Ridgewood. An affidavit was completed by Detective Clark. Case number 230002295. Certified letter from Jakari Young, Chief of Police, was mailed to the property owner notifying him of the illegal activity.
Okay, so in this particular case, the cocaine appeared to be, the sale of cocaine appeared to have occurred in the front parking lot of Jay's Food Store?
Yes, sir.
All right. And did the cocaine test presumptively positive for cocaine? The
Yes.
substance test positively for cocaine?
Yes.
All right. All right.
Go to tab 6. On February 14th, 2023, a sale of cocaine was made within 1,000 feet of place of worship. An affidavit was completed by Detective Deal, case number 23-000-2296. A certified letter from the Jakari Young, Chief of Police, was mailed to the property owner notifying him of the illegal activity.
And just for the record, you're going to introduce at the end of the hearing, not only the arrest reports, but the certified letters that Chief Young sent to the property owner shortly after each arrest.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
So as far as the arrest affidavits,
Yes, sir.
we can't produce the actual physical arrest affidavits. For the purpose, it's a ongoing investigation.
All
The
right.
charges have not been filed against some of the defendants in the case.
Okay.
So we can't provide that because it's an ongoing investigation.
So we're talking about, like, for example, the document that I was looking at, we're looking at 6, I think is where we're at now. And it was, I could barely read this thing, especially with the blue highlight on it. Case number 23, what?
It's
98?
easy, it's easy right here. If you go to your table of contents,
Okay, okay, all right.
so tab 6.
2296?
Yeah, 2296.
Yeah, if we can have them all.
Yes, of course. Trying to read that.
I know.
I gotta stay with the report itself, so I can read it.
Okay.
So what's this now?
That's tab 6.
So where's your little thing here?
Oh,
Where's your cheat
6.
sheet?
Oh, it's the table of contents. And it tells you what tab number.
You still do tab number 2, I just can't read the.
I know, yeah, I understand.
These old eyes aren't what they used to be.
I don't know.
Usually they do. That's
Yeah, these are all charging affidavits. I don't know
That's
why.
right, hearing, those reports, usually have laid foundations in the report.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking if they can't admit these reports, I don't know.
Then we have to do a little more detail for the test.
Well, yeah, a little bit more detail. Or just take the guy's stipulation and move on.
That would work too,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
I did hear that we're stipulating to a nuisance, that's usually the bulk of it, because I'm happy we're stipulating for the bulk of the hearings.
I guess for the purpose of confidentiality, I guess some people have not been taken into custody as an officer of the court. I guess I would, they asked me to stipulate that I won't reveal any of these names in here, I guess, on these reports.
Okay.
Because some of them may not have been redacted. And also, just for a point of clarification, the last one, since it's up, I said 1,000 feet of a church, and I don't know the place of worship as the crow's flies that we were talking about. So they just said a church, a worship, place of worship. And as far as that area goes, I'm trying to figure out what church 1,000 feet we're referring to.
This is the church, the Berean Baptist Church. It's 768 feet
Barron Baptist Church, where's that located?
at Madison and Mulberry.
Oh,
Okay.
And just one additional point to that, even though this was stated in the affidavits, that's not the ultimate issue of the of this board is whether or not a sale or has occurred on the property. And that's ultimately what's going to be testified to, and that's what's being presented by Mr. Blowers.
Right, I noticed that all the cases, are sale and delivery of a controlled substance within 1,000 feet of a place of worship, but it doesn't matter if it's within 1,000. Am I correct in saying it doesn't matter within 1,000 feet of a place of worship? The fact is that there's a sale and delivery of cocaine that occurred
On the property,
on the
yes.
property, right, Mr. Jackson? I said it doesn't matter whether or not the sale and delivery of the controlled substance occurred within 1,000 feet of the place of worship. The issue we're addressing here is whether the sale and delivery of the controlled substance occurred at the J Food Store.
That's correct.
Right, okay.
That's
So,
the
and
proposition.
just so I get clarification and from my board, what we're saying is all these affidavits that we've been presented with, the folks haven't necessarily been arrested yet, and so, is that what you're saying? So you can't submit the affidavits?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
But as the statute provides it, there are multiple ways that we address these, and one of them is dealing with the arrest of individuals, but that hasn't occurred in these circumstances.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, we do have sworn testimony as to the events occurring.
Absolutely,
on
you can prove it
property.
up to, absolutely, you can prove it up to the sworn testimony, but that's sort of a new development. My question is, we need to slow down just a little bit and have these two gentlemen that I've read their reports in advance, appear to have done all the deals. Do we need to slow down, just have them, I don't want, they don't have to read the whole report in, but just slow down, I thought we were introducing the affidavits at the end of the report as we usually do, so I guess we are not doing that.
Correct.
We
I
just
think
have to redact the actual name of the person, and then the affidavit can be presented.
Okay.
So as long as the defendant is being redacted from it, we
Okay.
can submit it.
We're good.
One-
Yeah, we made the decision, you're right. We typically do submit it, and again, if it was requested as a public record, we would redact that out to deliver to anyone else. And of course, we're asking the board to recognize the confidentiality that we're bringing forth. And so, in fact, for whatever they may have in their material. However, we would redact it if anyone was to see.
Great, okay, sounds good. Because
Okay.
otherwise, I would also, I think it'd be okay for you all to do the redaction here before you introduce it. So however you want to do it, but as long as we're doing the affidavits, then we can move quicker through the testimonial aspect of it. Great, sounds good. All right. Did you finish up tab number 6 then?
Yes, sir. Tab
Okay.
7, on March 9th, 2023, a sale of cocaine was made on the property. The charge was within 1,000 feet of place of the worship. An affidavit was completed by Detective Deal. Certified letter from Jakari Young, Chief of Police, was mailed to the property owner, notifying him of the illegal activity. This is the location on the property, just outside the front door.
Okay, so in front of the store, in front of the front door.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Okay, next one.
Tab 8. On March 9th, 2023, a sale of cocaine was made on the property, which is within 1,000 feet of the place of worship. An affidavit was completed by Detective Deal, case number 230003637. A certified letter from Jakari Young, Chief of Police, was mailed to the property owner notifying them of the illegal activity.
Okay.
And it was occurred just outside the front door.
All right. Number 9.
On April 20th, 2023, a sale of cocaine was made on the property within 1,000 feet of place of worship. An affidavit was completed by Detective Deal, case number 230005785. A certified letter from Jakari Young, Chief of Police, was mailed to the property owner notifying them of the illegal activity. Outside the front door of the curb step, where there's a step up to, that's where this sale occurred.
Okay, at the front of the store.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Tab 10, on April 27th, 2023, a sale of cocaine was made within 1,000 feet of the worship place, which was on the property. An affidavit was completed by Detective Deal, case number 230006143. A certified letter from Jakari Young, Chief of Police, was mailed to the property owner notifying them of the illegal activity.
Okay, and just for the record, when you say on the property, you're talking about on the property of J Food Store,
Yes,
as opposed to the place of worship?
yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay?
And this happened on the south side of the parking lot.
All right. Not on the sidewalk, or is it?
It's in the parking lot just before the sidewalk.
Okay.
Tab 11, on May 10th, 2023, a sale of cocaine was made on the property within 1,000 feet of a place of worship. An affidavit was completed by Detective Clark, case number 230006840. Certified letter from Jakari Young, Chief of Police, was mailed to the property owner notifying them of the illegal sale activity. And it occurred on the property of Jay's Food Store.
Okay.
And this occurred at the front window, by the front entrance, the window edge, so.
Okay.
Tab 12, on May 11th, 2023, a sale of cocaine was made on the property of Jay's Food Store within 1,000 feet of a place of worship. An affidavit was completed by Detective Deal, see case 230006892. A certified letter from Jakari Young, Chief of Police, was mailed to the property owner notifying them of the illegal activity. And this happened on the north side of the parking lot.
Okay, in front parking lot on the north end of the parking lot.
Yes, sir.
All right.
On December 27th, 2023, a joint operation between Daytona Beach and Florida Division of Alcohol, Beverages, and Tobacco was conducted. During this operation, 2 single cigarettes were purchased from a cashier, violation of state law. Other violations include selling liquor without a liquor license. This is just showing the history of different things that goes on at this store. It's under tab 1314. They sell cigarettes, selling of tequila, which requires a liquor license.
If I may, the statute talks about the sale of what we're talking about, not ruining the reputation of the store and adding other issues, Mr. Rice. You can clearly look at the statute. It only talks about prostitution, sale of cocaine, sale and delivery, and gambling, and things of that nature. So, us adding these other things in.
Okay. I understand, so that maybe the store owner and property owner don't want to stipulate to this particular case because it's involving alcohol and alcoholic beverages and tobacco.
Well, if I can just point out that the statute does provide for testimony as relates to the reputation of this business. So these are testifying to events that have happened even since the 6-month period and what's still occurring in terms of general criminal activity and the general reputation of the business.
No, I understand that completely, and I agree that it's definitely relevant to how we dispose of this case, the sanctions, whatever the restrictive provisions we put in. But my point is, Mr. Daniels is saying, hey, this is a different case, and they don't want to stipulate that they did this. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Daniels?
It is an ongoing case as well.
Yeah.
And it is. And
I don't have a
I agree. I understand and I agree that it should not be part of a stipulation as to the determination of the nuisance at this point.
Right.
But it should be, we're asking for it to be considered really as we're talking more about the stage of how you address the abatement of the general.
I agree. So what we're saying is you don't need this case to prove the nuisance. You've got that with the sales and deliveries of the controlled substances. But right, we can accept the testimony or the evidence about that as it pertains to the sanctions that we're going to impose to bring this property owner into compliance. Is that fair enough?
That's
All right,
good.
all right. And that way, they're not compromising themselves on a separate case with the state. Is that fair enough?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll receive the evidence, but it's not with the stipulation of the property and business owner.
And, other concerns, a lot of expired food in there, selling of commonly used items for narcotics, glass pipes, clear mini bags, just showing the history. This is the distance, it shows the distance between the church and the store, which is 768 feet, just showing in the neighborhood that, it's affecting the quality of life of people in that area. On the other side, you got the Jay's Food Store. You have Child Country Club of Daytona, which is a daycare center with 756 feet. So there's kids that are watched just down the road from this place. That's by Arlington.
Okay.
There's been prior orders prohibiting from maintaining the nuisance of the property, prohibited from allowing the conduct, operation, or maintenance of any business or activity on the property which is conducive to such nuisance.
I'm sorry, what were you saying? You're referencing the previous?
Previous
Say that again.
order.
You're speaking rather quickly. And
Sorry.
I just want to make sure I understand what you're trying to tell us.
Yeah, this is from a prior order that in the last case in 2017, they were not allowed to maintain the nuisance property. They were not allowed to conduct or operate or maintenance of the building or activity on the property which is conducive to such nuisance. So they were ordered to basically make sure that this didn't occur.
And this was, when was this?
2017.
2017.
October. I entered the order October 2017. Our jurisdiction ran out a year after that.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, the order was entered to the same property owner. And just for the record, in 2002, I handled a case regarding Jay's. It may have been different owners, but same situation.
And here, they were stipulated to have security guard. They no longer have a security. Upgrade the cameras to allow access to the real-time crime center. They no longer provide access. Keep store windows unobstructed. As I pointed out in the beginning, couple photos, the windows are currently obstructed. Keep exterior lighting maintained by SEPTED standards. Maintain registration and compliance with DBPD Business Trespass Initiative. Prior to this, no one's reached out to communicate. I've stopped there in person and left my business card trying to reach out to solve some of the issues, and up until now, no one had reached out.
Approximately when and how many times have you done that?
I was there when I presented him the order of the hearing, and then I came back last week and dropped off a business card again.
Okay. You say dropped off, what do you mean, the complaint notice of hearing? Is that what you meant?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Okay. So about a week ago, you stopped in?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. A week or two. Okay, go ahead.
And just, we're saying that, the city already has 2 liens against the property totaling $1,046 for the utilities and $14,368 for law enforcement usage. It is in the best interest that we take action to close this business. Now, in the stipulations, we are willing, if it's okay with them, they agree, like to have them closed for 10 days so that way we can clear the area, have them hire a detail officer and a security officer, so that way if we can't fill the detail, there's still somebody there.
So wait, I know you're sort of like you're moving toward the sanctions here.
Yes.
How about, let's slow down 1 second, let's get our evidence in the record.
Okay.
So we got 2 sort of phases of the hearing. There's the adjudicatory phase, and then there's the sanctions phase. So,
Here are the case files to be submitted.
Mr. Daniels, you want to see the
Exactly.
Okay, fair enough. All right, with seeing no objection, then we'll accept that evidence in as, I guess, the city's composite Exhibit 1. And I'm assuming, just so we know, since no one's seen it, it would just be these, however many, 8 of them? How many incidents did we just testify about?
10.
10 altogether?
Ultimately, what we were presenting is, because y'all are reviewing, I believe, the tabs that's being referenced, we'll be presenting that full tab, but we will present it, ultimately redacting those names of concern. But beyond that, we'll resubmit that if that's okay with the board and that's okay with Mr. Daniels.
Sorry.
I said, our desire is to resubmit this material, the book itself, material, just, but submit it subsequent to this hearing, redacted.
Redacting it?
Yes, and on the redacting as we discussed, the names of the individuals.
That's okay with you, Mr. Daniels?
Oh, yeah, they want to redact the names.
Okay, all right. So, all right, we'll accept the evidence that's being submitted, subject to the understanding that the city will be redacting the names of the defendants, is that correct?
What would they be? Defendants would be right, yeah.
Yes, the defendant's name.
Suspects?
Suspects,
I guess they're not defendants yet, you haven't charged them, is that?
Correct.
So, okay, so subject to the redaction of the names of the suspects that are
Accused.
named in the reports.
Yes, thank you.
And that concludes all the evidence I have to present.
Okay, so,
As to a determination of as relates to the
Violation.
determination of
public nuisance.
declaration of public nuisance.
Yes.
Correct? Yes.
Okay, now, just before we go to the sanctions phase, I guess we'll take a vote on whether the property's a public nuisance. Mr. Daniels, did you want to be heard at all before we make that finding of public nuisance?
Just shortly, Mr. Rice.
Great. Thank you, sir.
I need to address, on the record there. Again, I am Kelvin Daines for the J Food Store. I had a long bunch of questions to ask these officers, but one thing I'd like to point out to the board is that they showed us a church and they also showed us a daycare. What we didn't see was that right across the street is a police substation, right? That people are selling drugs, allegedly selling drugs in front of this place. And our police substation sits right there. And, that station is not stopping this activity either. And we're putting it on the owner, and the onus on the owner of a store just to stop something that we have officers sitting. I go by there, I see my client, and I see cars there. And so nothing is stopping this activity. We're putting a lot of responsibility on this here. So I understand the presentation. I know how these transactions happen. They happen fairly quick. You use the confidential sources, bringing them up to there and telling them to make a hand-to-hand transaction, whether it's in front of the store, in the store, on the edge of the store, and things like that. Ms. Rice, I actually had this for you. I got a business, you have a business, and if somebody comes and sells on your property, the chief sends you a letter. You get a letter, and then somebody comes and sells property on there again. That's a violation of the nuisance statute right there with two sales. And if anybody got a business, this kind of conduct can't happen. So yeah, we've been here before, and I understand, like I said, these fairly quick transactions are happening, and we need to get somebody there. Again, we had security, and we failed to keep them, so I will admit to that. We need to keep the security guard, and hopefully we can shoot people off. But these some of these transactions here, happen relatively quick, and I don't even know if somebody can stop you from making that transaction if it's already a motivated seller and things. So just want to address the board. I had a lot more to go into about this and a lot of questions to prove certain things, but in the end, in the interest of my client and we have an ongoing case, I just want to say that to you all, and then we can get into the punitive phase, because I do have some ideas as opposed to what the officer has said.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Certainly, I'm going to give you the opportunity to be heard on the sanctions phase of the hearing. Thank you, sir.
But just to confirm, you are still stipulating that the evidence presented?
For the purposes of what we just did, if I ask them a bunch of questions, I have like 20 questions per officer, more than that, actually. We can go through that, but I don't know if y'all want me to try to change y'all mind, but in the purposes of the process, Mr. Syed is okay with stipulating, so, we'll go ahead.
Just to be
and
clear,
stipulate.
so he's agreeing to stipulate that the property there at Jay's Food Store is a public nuisance.
Well, I'm stipulating that drug sales happen, so I mean, y'all will make the determination as a nuisance in the end, but I can admit that.
Okay.
According to the evidence, somebody did, make drug transactions on the property.
Okay, all right. Thank you, sir.
And if I may, and this is probably going to deal a lot more with, as we talk about a little bit more on sanctions and abatement, but on the issue of the substation really didn't become active till about mid-year last year. I know it was physically there a little bit before then, but it didn't become an active substation till mid-year. And even then, it's just part-time, just clarifying, just a part-time use facility. And as you see, these cases that have been brought forth were from February to May, so they preceded that. And ultimately, as we will discuss, that the ultimate statutory obligations for the owner to find some solution. So we very much would like to see the owner find those solutions, and we'll do everything we can to guide them through that.
Okay, all right. All right. We've had the city's presentation. We've given the business and property owner an opportunity to be heard. Just for those who are new on the board, this is the point where we determine whether or not the business and property are a public nuisance. So usually I can't, as a chair, I can't make motions. So the question is there a motion from this board to declare, I'll make sure I get it right here, to declare the property located at 600 North Bridgewood Avenue, also known as Jay's Food Store, Daytona Beach, Florida, a public nuisance as defined by Chapter 62 of the City of Daytona Beach Code of Ordinances and Section 893.138 of the Florida statutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Ruby. Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Murphy? All right, it's been moved and seconded to declare the property at 600 North Ridgewood, also known as Jay's Food Store, a public nuisance. Is there any discussion on the matter before we have a vote? Madam Secretary, you want to call the roll? Seeing none, would you like to call the vote on that, starting with your first board member and finishing with me?
Ms. Kara Reeve? Kara Keefe?
Yes.
Yes?
Is that-
Mr. Murphy?
You vote yes on the
I
motion?
vote yes on
Thank
the
you.
motion.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yes.
Ms. Ruby?
Yes.
And Mr. Rice?
Yes. All right, the motion carries. The property has been declared a public nuisance. Now, the second phase of the hearing is for lack of a better term, the sanctions phase, and that is what the board determines to be the appropriate remedy to the situation. And of course, this being the second phase, and the city's gonna have the opportunity to present what they think would best address this situation, and Mr. Daniels and his clients also have the opportunity to address this so that we can fashion some remedy or some sanctions to address the situation. You know, and I guess the range is a slap on the wrist all the way up to, pulling the occupational license, the certificate of occupancy, et cetera, but we'll hear first from the city, and then from Mr. Daniels. Was there a discussion as to what the sanctions should be that the city and the property owner can agree on, or do we want to pitch it and we'll make the decision?
Yeah, our thought was we would just present and let the board decide on how you elect to sanction based on our request. We weren't, we did not discuss with specificity any type of, what the sanctions would be, and and we, as we have done, we've talked about history and we've talked about the circumstance as it stands. I'd like to just address briefly, and then I'll turn back to, and pretty much more as an intro than anything, and then I'll turn back to Sergeant Blowers. The role of the Nuisance Abatement Board is to, and this is pursuant to Section 6262 of our Code of Ordinances. The role of the Nuisance Abatement Board is to debate, is to hear the evidence, declare nuisances, and impose penalties. And so, as he said, that's kind of a broader statement than what you do, because ultimately the penalties are really, you're imposing, and what we're seeking is those things that would abate the nuisance. We have a nuisance that, from our perspective, has occurred and reoccurred, and we've had a period where we've, whether it was because, more so from our perspective, just of us, a little bit of an oversight where we've extended well beyond jurisdictional authority for the board to take subsequent actions. And so we just feel the need to get the things that were in place, maybe even more out. You'll hear from Mr. Blowers on that. And then we would expect them to be followed so that this nuisance is abated. This concern about how we're creating public harm as a result of what's occurring on the property on a regular basis, at least from the perspective of the city. The sanctions, just so that we're clear, is the authority is under subsection 5 of the code. And I say subsection 5, let me get that a little bit clearer. I'm sorry, it's both, we duplicated it in the code. It's in Florida statutes 893.138, and there it's in subsection 5, and then it's also in our code as well. And
What subsection of our code here, so I can follow along here?
yeah, I'm flipping to it here.
6267, it looks like.
Yeah, 6267, subsection A. And reading it from the code, it says, as the code being adopted as supplemental authority pursuant to the statutory authority that's been given to this board. And that, what the code says is under subsection A, after considering all evidence, the Nuisance Abatement Board may declare the place or premises to be a public nuisance as defined in section 6261, and may enter an order immediately prohibiting, 1, the maintaining of the nuisance, 2, the prohibiting the operation or maintenance of the place or premises, including the closure of the place or premises or any part thereof. I used to be able to see that a lot better before. And 3, the conduct, operation, and thirdly, to prohibit the conduct, operation, or maintenance of any business or activity on the premises which is conducive to such nuisance. So with that being understood, I just wanted to just put that on the record, make sure the board was aware of what you're considering and what we're bringing forward, and why we're bringing forward what we're bringing forward. And I'll turn this over to
Sergeant Blowers?
Sergeant Blowers.
So Anthony, just so I'm clear, like if, I heard discussion about hiring, the previous order was hire a security guard or whatever, the conditions were, but those conditions only last a year.
That's correct.
That's correct. And the board has authority if for some reason those, they cease for the staff to come back before, city staff to come back before the board, ask for another board meeting and seek sanctions, which ultimately may be the sanctions of asking the board, the business to stop its operation.
Right, so the city can bring a violation before the board if it's if the violation occurs within a year, and then we,
Right, which would also have the right to include fines and fees. On a first time, it's $250 per day until they come back into compliance. And on a subsequent violations, it's $500, kind of like a repeat violation from code, $500 per day until that compliance is met, to a maximum of $15,000. So that's, so there's a penalty in that regard, as well as there's the ability to ask for costs as relate to having to bring you, this board together and to, costs and fees related to those processes.
Anthony, I also saw, and I didn't know how it would kind of correlate with, I know this body only has a one-year jurisdiction, but this body has the authority to pursue injunctive relief under Florida Statute 165.
That's correct.
And that would that be
That
beyond?
would be permanent injunction is the way it's defined. So yeah, that can go beyond the
The
period.
1 year, okay.
Yes. And if there's no questions of me other than that, then I'm
Well,
going to turn it
usually-
back over to Mr. Bowers.
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, usually we like to hear what the recommendations of the city are.
Certainly.
Are they written down anywhere? Because otherwise, my old hand's got to like write really fast if you're about to rattle off 68 sanctions, so,
They are not written down.
okay, well, somebody needs to write them down, I'm not gonna.
We would like to stipulate them closed for 10 days to get in compliance with everything. We would like them to, all the things that they agreed to in 2017, the camera use, make sure we have access to the cameras again, make sure the lights meet SEPTED, the current SEPTED standards.
Slow for us.
I got all those, okay, I've got the 2017 order, so I've got that. If somebody wants to read that off or reference it.
We'd like them to hire a security guard and a detail officer. The point of having both is because we can't always fill it with a detail officer, so that way there'd still be some kind of security on scene.
Would that require, if you could have a detail officer, would the security officer already be there too? So there'd be two people on site?
Yes,
Or is
sir.
this- There would be two, okay.
Only because we can't always fill all of the details, so that way there's always at least one, but there would be,
Okay, I just didn't know if it was one or the other. At least one of those people would be on site, but you're asking for hopefully two, but at least one.
yes,
So
sir.
you're asking for a security guard, I don't know, whatever hours, we'll say, just say all the time, I'll say all the time. But, and a private duty officer when available,
Yes, sir.
when the city can provide it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And hours on that, or,
The hours of the store, whatever they're open.
okay.
Yeah, before, last time around, it was 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. were the hours of the security guard. But you're asking for the store, during store hours,
Yes, sir.
okay?
Want to make sure that they are signed up on the trespass arrest list with the city and the business trespass initiative. So that way when they're closed and stuff, we can make arrests, and we'll use the 10 days to try and clean up the area and get it all stabilized to prevent future violations. And I believe that was,
So what's the
Oh,
difference between, I have it on that last order, what's the difference between the trespass initiative program and the trespass arrest site program? There's two different programs?
yeah, the trespass arrest site is for when a business is closed.
Okay,
The initiative is that when they're open, that if we see somebody that we feel shouldn't be there because they're doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing, that we can ask them to leave without having to confer with the owner.
And I could assist a little bit. They make the law enforcement an authorized agent of the owner, which is something that's been done throughout around the state.
okay, good. I said know the difference between the two programs. Thank you. Didn't mean to get you off your game, wherever you're at there.
Also request that everything be removed from the door and window so that there's no obstruction, even if that means moving the cooler or whatever that's there, so that way we can see in and out.
And you want the business to be able to see what's going on outside as well?
Yes, sir. So that the way they're aware of what's going on their doorstep.
So that would exclude storing items, advertising items, and also any window tint.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think what we did last time was respondents shall keep the store windows unobstructed to allow a clear view inside and outside of the store.
Okay.
The language.
Good language.
Including window tint.
Yeah.
We'd also ask for approximately $5,000 to recoup investigative costs and for the board.
Is there a sort of a basis for that amount, or,
It would be much higher if we did everything, but those are some of the costs, like we had to get a title search, we had to, all the stuff that it was actually financially came out of our budget, so.
okay, okay. All right, keep going.
And I believe that's it.
So just so the other board members don't have necessarily have the benefit of the order I'm looking at from 2017, because you're saying you're asking for the same sanctions. Let me go just read through those real quick.
Okay.
Make sure you still want those, you know. The first one was respondents shall provide a security guard on Monday through Saturday each week, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Respondents shall upgrade the security cameras to allow continuous feed without interruption, as well as access for the police department's real-time crime center. Respondents shall keep the windows clear. We talked about that already. Respondents shall continue to keep the exterior lighting maintained at crime prevention through environmental design standards. Respondents shall maintain registration and compliance with Daytona Beach Police Department's the Trespass Initiative Program and Arrest Site Program. And that was it. Those were the sanctions, in addition to the not maintaining, you know, the nuisance, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No, crime prevention standards, that's where you sort of referenced the SEPTAD before, the same thing.
Yeah, okay, right,
I mean,
okay.
for the rest of the board.
Okay. Get it all straight, because I'm probably gonna rehash it and then see if there's, but, so if the city's been heard on that, then I think we need to hear from, Mr. Daniels.
All right, thank you all. Yeah, the sanctions that the city are imposing are tantamount to, I guess tantamount is a nice legal word, Mr. Rice, but it's almost like closing a business financially with the cost of a security detail from 6 a.m. to 11 at night. The other stipulation, of course, was 11 to 7, as you all may not be aware, we didn't go through the full hearing, was that the J Food Store, unfortunately, as almost a nuisance came to them when they were feeding people and things of that nature, and there's a homeless shelter behind it, and Halifax Urban Ministries and all of that. So these people were coming over to the J Food Store, standing around, and we were trying to move them back away from the property, which is what it was before. So the 11 to 7 was the stipulation that we had given the last time in order to allow the owner still to be financially solvent, and also to make sure that we kept the most of the traffic and also the people away from the property. So that would be what we would ask that you all entertain again, would be something like that, something more reasonable, so that he may maintain a business and also abate the nuisance. we didn't get a detailed statement from the police about the amount. Actually, I didn't get this book till today. So
Right,
the $5,000, you know, generally when you ask for some type of money, unless we're doing punitive damages, which I didn't see in this, in per se in the statute, then at least we can just get some kind of itemization as to what is maybe is going to the police general fund or something like that. But at least we'd like to see what that amount comes from. If there is a regular security detail, we don't like to arm security officers per se because it's not violent crime, so to speak. These are drug transactions. Then the need for a police officer in lieu of that, if we're saying that the J Food Store actually has a real security detail, a real security guard presently on the scene, then there's no need to do double duty. If we do have this active police substation right across the street, then we also have law enforcement in the area all the time. So having 2 people on property on site, also having the trespassing initiative and everything already in place, I would just ask the board to just maintain a security guard. Given opportunity, as we were here before, we did maintain the security guard. Unfortunately, that did fall through later on. But given the fact that during the time that we were under your surveyorship, we did have a security guard. We also kept the lighting. We had access to that. And all of that is we're willing to do, you know, to make sure we can abate the nuisance again. Taking the freezer and moving it from the window would allow law enforcement to look in. There were no drug sales inside of the building. And just on the point by Mr. Barr, I did actually reach out to somebody about you all's thing. I didn't get a meeting with them, but I did, you know, make an opportunity to try to resolve this before we got to this point. But they didn't want to see me, so that's fine. And lastly, the closing of a business, it's in the statute. And, you know, we also have redressability with the court when it comes to closures and things like that. But if you close any business, and we have 3 to 4 people that work in that store, then that actually, again, is it's a suffrage to the business owner and also to the employees and also to in the community in and of itself. If we were to just go ahead and get the security guard right away, which we already have one, but I want to get another agency, so to speak. We already had one hired on Friday. I'd like for us to get an agency registered security guard. There's no need to close a business to get everything in order. We already have security now. Police came in and swiftly got the cameras hooked up and gained access, and there was no need to stop the business from going and taking from the owner. So I would ask that the closure is not necessary to enforce and abate a nuisance. We can go ahead and get them access to the cameras, take things out the windows, and there's no need to shut a business down and shut down the owner and also the employees that work there. So that would be hurtful to them as well. So I just ask that you all just keep that in mind, that closing the business is not necessary, maybe not even having law enforcement. And as Mr. Jackson said, y'all had a power to bring us right back in front of y'all if something's wrong. If something y'all ride by and y'all don't see that this business is doing what we're saying we'll do right now, you can all bring us right back in here and sanction them and junk them, actually even close them. So, you know, we're putting a lot of faith in Mr. Saeed and into the Gatlin brothers that, you know, they're going to do everything that they need to do and not come back in front of y'all. So, ma'am?
Oh, nothing.
You left, so what did you say?
No. Nothing.
Okay, Ms.
I'll wait till questions.
Okay, all right, so thank you.
But I had some questions of Sergeant Blowers also, but anybody have questions of, yeah, I had a question. What is the draw of those people to that area besides Jay's? I drove by there this morning and there was street, you know, North Street was littered with, you know, the unsheltered, the homeless people. Is there still some feeding and all going on down on North Street, or some services being rendered to the? Because I noticed that, of course, everyone's on their best behavior when their court date is coming up, you know. So I drove by and there's no one at Jay's parking lot. I know there's usually people in Jay's parking lot. I live in the neighborhood, you know, drive through. But today there was no one in the parking lot, but the street was littered with homeless people. What's the draw down there for those people on North Street?
I think most of it is familiarity because they're just so familiar being there and,
I guess there was homeless feeding going on there for a period of
yes,
time?
I'm not sure if it's still going on. I don't believe so, but,
Does anybody know if there's still homeless feeding going on North Street?
Yes, sir. There is a few free organizations stop by and they feed the homeless. At lunchtime and dinner.
Where do they provide those services? Because everybody's got like, I notice everybody's all fenced up all down North Street.
They on North Street mostly. They stay beside our store on North Street, and sometimes they sneak in our parking lot and they open their SUV and they start handling the food.
Okay.
And believe me, it is a big mess when they done because they throw all these containers on the parking lot.
Okay, the food containers. Okay. I'm just sort of curious, because something's the magnet there that, you know what I mean? We call it the attractive nuisance. What's the drawing the nuisance there to help the whole area out? So, do the police officers know anything about the homeless feeding at all going on, or?
there's nothing like an organized one. There's just church groups that go there, I guess, and there's different ones that will feed them. And it happens not only there, but in other places too throughout the city.
So they're just like sort of, I don't want, transient in the sense that these are feeding churches just transiently go to a location and open their truck up and give out food to the homeless.
Where they basically see a mass of people, and Jay's Food Store is known for everybody to hang there, and so that's why they go there to feed them there, because that's where everybody is hanging out.
Okay. All right. So there's nothing going on back behind Jay's on those, because it used to be, I know Second Harvest Food is right behind them, but they're not doing any feeding there if they're located.
No.
It wasn't Second Harvest, Ms. Rice. It was a place right next to Second Harvest, right behind Jay, and I think that
Was it Hum? Was Hum the one doing it before?
it was some organization that was feeding them. And of course, as you said before, we're shooing them from one space to another. We're like moving cattle when we're asking the security guard to move people to the street. And then hopefully somebody's moving them off the street to somewhere else. And so it's a migratory crowd. But the feeding that we're talking about now also brings us back to getting sanctions, no us, but Mr. Saeed getting sanctions when people throw containers in his thing and then they blame him for not cleaning it up, with this feeding. So this has been going on since.
I got you. I know, as a property owner, I don't, if I see somebody, I take care of that as a property owner. If someone's out of my parking lot, you know what I mean, they're throwing trash, the property.
They throw it in the backyard.
Business owner takes care of it, and that's, but, anyways, I just sort of curious at what the attract, yes, Mr. Saeed?
Yes, I would like to say something, Your Honor, just 1 minute.
Of course.
The way is our location located on the corner, and there is a sidewalk on the side of the
Yes, sir,
building.
running east
Yes,
and west on
and-
North Street.
Yes, sir. And if most people will stand up on the sidewalk, even the cops, when we call the cops, and the cops telling me we cannot do nothing about the sidewalk. And these guys could stay on the sidewalk for God knows few hours, and it's kind of a fight. In matter of fact, I go ahead and I park my car on the corner where I'm gonna block them from my parking lot. And a lot of cops, they don't do nothing about it. It's out of their restriction, and it's just a matter of keep watching them not to move to my parking lot. And this is really a problem for us. Even there is a handicapped lady staying there all day. I mean, she stay on that corner all day, and nothing we could do about it. She
offered rides?
She beg for money, asking customer for help and stuff like that.
Gotcha,
And,
okay,
you know,
okay.
But
and
the point is, that might be a contributing factor, but there's still the drug sales going on there. And then even the store sells paraphernalia. Well, it's not considered paraphernalia until it's actually bought and used, but they sell glass pipes and they sell mini bags used to distribute drugs and stuff like that, so.
I know in actually past cases, we've actually banned the stores from having the glass pipes and the mini bags, so, we can restrict them from selling that paraphernalia, just as an idea.
Yeah, I think, I think that's the point that we're trying to make, is that you had asked about what's the draw.
Yeah, I'm just sort of curious, yeah, 'cause.
And our concern is that the draw is not just the fact that there's a homeless gathering, but the draw is also that there is the cheap paraphernalia, there's the single cigarette sales, there's things that a person with little to no income can do. And then ultimately, our problem is that there's drug sales going on the property, whether they're coming for food or other things. Ultimately, what we're dealing with, and the principal nuisance that we're able to try and remedy through the statute, is the fact that there are drug sales occurring. And whether those drug sales are, regardless of how they occur, they're occurring. And they're occurring, and we are dependent upon the property owner to find ways to cease drug sales occurring on their property. And we've put things in place with the hopes that would reduce what's occurring, but all the statute required was for us to come here with more than 2 occurrences of sales in a 6-month time period, and we came here with 8. And that's just a difficult thing to try and answer why this property owner, and whatever this property owner is doing, why they can't change it to eliminate this constant nuisance.
Now, I'm sure the beer and the cigarettes, contribute to the attraction to the area.
Yeah, I'm not like trying to paint him as a bad, so he's not a bad person at
Just for
all, but the
record,
problem.
Announce your name again, Mr.
Sorry, sir, Justin Deal.
Yeah.
So I think that the issue is the cigarette sales that are going on, and there also is EBT fraud going on in the store. We have interviewed, I would say, at least like 8 or 9 people saying that they go over there and they do like 50 cents for $1 for the EBT fraud. And that's something that's going on there at the store too. So I think that, like all that stuff, so it adds up basically, and that's why that these people are going back and back and back to the J Food store, because they are, they're selling the glass pipes, selling the baggies that are used for, the drugs, selling the scale, and the Troy Boys for sale. Like, it's just like a combination of everything, and that's the reason why these people are going back there and back there and back there. So I don't, blame him for everything. It's not all on Mr. Saeed. But I do believe that it is the area for one, but also, he also is like allowing the stuff to go on inside the store with the sales of all the stuff. So that's all I had for that.
And just briefly, what we've dealt with this, but what's a chore boy?
So that's used to put like in a crack pipe. So it's almost like a filter basically in the crack pipe.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And then Mr. Said.
Yes.
Your Honor, the situation, he mentioned something. I've been there since 2009, and I do have maintained my EBT machine at the store since, and it's still active at this time. We will not allow any sales, like he said, $1 for 50 cents. I keep it because we do really some business for people who come shop for grocery and milk and cereal at the store. And the second thing, he forgot that we do cash in checks for the labor hold. It's around our store, which is we are cash approximately 80 checks a day. And these people come cash their check on daily basis. And the other thing he mentioned, we said that we allow things to happen. Really, we don't. We just trying to be firm most of the time to do the right thing. and we just, the store is making enough to make a living for other 3-4 employees I have, and I have looking forward, to maintain it and keep it open, to keep it, in healthy way, to keep doing business, and will be, security to be at the store like last time. We will work with a major company to maintain the record on, last time they were 11 to 7, 1 to 9, which is, reasonable time, whereas most the crowd come cash their check, or the most moment time we are busy at that time. That is really the major thing about it, and it's not really by selling the illegal stuff that will create these customers to come. We have families, people who go to work, come and giving us our business, and mostly last time when they came to our store, they couldn't find anything expired on the shelf, and I believe they just left a bag of chips on the ice cream. They said it's expired. I do really keep good maintaining record and maintaining inventory at the store, and we're really not there to hurt nobody or somebody to get sick. And I will always love to work with the police department to direct us to solve the problem together. And I understand he stopped by at the store, but I have some people doesn't speak English, and they were scared what he's doing there, and they didn't make any report to me why the police officer is there. I mean, we there to help each other, and I need your help too, And I just don't want him to be mad at us because there is no communication. If I'm there, it will be more easier to communicate and solve the problem.
So some of your employees don't speak English? Is
Yes,
that what
I
you're saying?
have 2 people doesn't speak English. Their English is weak.
They speak English, Mr. Rice. They don't
Thank you.
have. They were afraid. They do speak English. They
And-
legally here. They just not. They speak almost like Mr. Saeed. So
And then
they
one
do
question,
understand English.
Mr. Saeed. You cash like 80 checks per day. How much do you make off of each? How do you charge?
We charge $1 each time they cash a
$1 per
check,
check.
because it's like $50 check or $60 mostly.
So no matter how much the check is, you just
It's
charge $1?
Yeah, $1.
Well, let me, I've been talking, let me ask if my board members, if anybody has some questions they'd like to ask of either Mr. Saeed, Mr. Blowers, or Officer Deal, or Officer Clark.
I have quite a few questions.
Okay.
So-
Ms. Ruby speaking now.
I have quite a few questions, and they're not going to be in any particular order. First of all, I'm just curious, how many hours a day is Mr. Saeed working in the store?
We operate the store from, no, what
How
you
many
see-
hours are you in the store working?
I'm mostly till 6 in the morning till 4, 5 o'clock.
Okay.
3 to
And you're
4.
out on the selling floor, or are you back in an office?
No, mostly active at the store.
Active in the store, so 6 a.m. to 4 p.m.?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. How many employees do you have?
I
And
have
are they full-time?
3.
Part-time, 3 employees? Part-time, full-time?
Mostly 3 full-time.
3 full-time, okay. And I guess this is a question more for the city. When the last sanctions were imposed and they were being adhered to, did it help?
I can't say that it eliminated it, because we still had buys back in 21 and stuff like that, in 19, where we sent them letters for the violations. Some of it helped, but it needs more.
Well, I guess that, the sanctions of 2017 only went to 2018, right? And were they in compliance with those through the entire year? With the cameras and security guards and the lighting?
Through that, yes. Whether or not there was drug deals, I cannot answer because we may not have done the buys during that time.
Okay, so we don't know if it really helped or not.
Correct.
Okay. Now I have to go look at my notes. I may have more questions later. I have to kind of sort through what I wrote.
Ms. Keefe, you have any questions?
I have one question.
Move that mic a little closer to you.
Oh, okay. The city wants to put a police detail at the store, and does the city pay for that police detail?
No, the store would.
Oh, okay. That was my question.
Mr. Murphy, do you have any questions, sir?
No question.
I'm sorry, no questions?
No question.
Okay, thank you, sir. Doubling back to you, Ms. Ruby, you're looking at your notes. I want to make sure you're satisfied.
I had one more question.
Ms. Keefe?
Yeah,
Okay.
do
You have a question?
So the trespassing, where it would give the police the authority to, if someone on the property they felt shouldn't be there, they didn't have to ask the owner, they could just go make the arrest?
We have to ask them to leave, and if they have been trespassed before, then we would be able to make the arrest.
Okay, so the business owner does not want that?
Oh, I think-
No,
we
they-
agreed to that.
No, I have no issue with that.
Oh, okay.
As a private attorney, I will say I never like to have unfettered discretion for anybody. The word "doesn't belong" there bothers me anytime I hear that, because
Okay.
who doesn't belong on property crosses a lot of barriers. So that terminology, I'd always abhorred by that, being a person of just being a person that I like that term.
Yeah.
So. But yes, the initiative is fine. But when you start saying who doesn't belong, I don't like that term. So
Well, I
hopefully we
guess
have
I'm
a
just trying to
different-
see if, the business owner, if it were me and there was so much crime at my business, I would welcome any kind of help from the police. So that's how I was looking at it.
Yeah. But like I said, the term, the initiative is great.
Okay.
Just the who doesn't belong, it
All right.
gives a lot of
All right.
leeway to people to grab whomever they don't think
Okay.
belongs there. So I don't like that.
When I mean don't belong there, I mean like after they've gone in and bought a sale,
Yep.
that they leave the property, that
Yeah.
they have no other further business on the property, they don't need to be there anymore.
Okay.
So
You're trying to shut down the loitering in the parking lot, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So the things that you had to do last time after 2017 for a year, I can understand wanting to not keep doing a security guard because that's probably pretty expensive. But the cameras had already been upgraded and connected to the real-time crime center. Is that correct?
They had been, yes.
So why was that? So this is a question I'm going to kind of go through. The windows had been unobstructed and the exterior lighting had been improved to what was satisfactory. Is that correct?
At that time, yes.
So why, once those enhancements had been made, why didn't you continue? Why weren't they continued? I mean, I can see the security guard, but the other things, I'm puzzled why they didn't do it if they want to maintain a safer place.
Well, there's a change in the technology, and just need to address the feed. Again, the police has upgraded their infrastructure on the computer, so you need to come in and then redo it again. We're talking about 2017, so it's like 6 years ago, so anything that they're using was archaic. Putting something in the window, the issue last time was that there was a sale in the store, so they said we'd like to be able to look into the store. Looking in and out of the store, there was no transaction made in the store this time. So any window lighting, all of that has changed. It's all upgraded again. So basically the store would again be getting another upkeep to the newest technology and the newest lighting. But looking into the store was that somebody made a sale in the store before. So that's why we said no obstructions on the windows and things, which most stores have some type of advertisement on their windows. So this store had to give up advertisement, sales, and making money from Frito-Lays and whomever by not allowing anything in the window, which y'all are asking them to do again. So basically, the store is just being an upgrade again.
It's
That's
also, it's a two-way street on the keeping the window clear. We want to make sure the property owner knows what's going on in his parking lot. You know what I mean? So it's not just the cops looking inside the store, it's also the property owner being able to know what's going on. you know,
Hopefully,
going
the
on
security
parking.
guard will shoo them away like
Yeah,
by
yeah, if you
before.
see they're
and-
sitting there doing
yeah.
nothing, get rid of them. Right.
But the other thing is, one of these sales, I think one of the first ones, he actually put the stuff together on the windowsill of the store. So if the window had been unobstructed,
We didn't get this. So that report that you all had mentioned,
I
we
think
just
that was
got
the,
it.
that was the first one.
They didn't get it in advance.
Okay.
So
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, having an unobstructed window could have been beneficial to him noticing that going on and stopping it.
All right, Ms. Rubin, just for the board's edification, I didn't go into mine, and I'll just make this so you all know that when you use a confidential informant or a confidential source, they tell some kind of way they come up, it's already a predetermined amount. This police report say they wanted to buy $50 worth of drugs, which is serial money. So a drug transaction that they're alleging occurring happens right at the window very fastly because they say, I want to buy 50 on the phone. And then they make this transaction. So seeing it or whatever, or not seeing it, what we have to do is just make sure that we just keep people away from the building. That's the issue. Can't stop a sale that's already preordained. That's something that y'all have to understand, that these are predetermined sales. I mean, I do criminal law, and some of these people, they already say on the phone, meet me at whatever, I'm getting $50. And they have a serial number, they have an audio and video recording, so the whole thing is taking place, and then they go. So if we have security, hopefully, they won't be in front of the store selling. This security guard will usher them away so that they won't sit up at the window and sell $50 worth of cocaine, So that's what the hope is with the abatement, is that the security guard just shoos people away. Go in the store, buy your stuff, leave the store. That's what the encouragement of this would be. And I hope to leave from there with that.
Okay. Officers Clark and Deal, I've got two of you up there, so whoever, Clark.
Clark.
Right, if you go, just announce yourself and what's
It's,
your comment?
Detective Clark. And just to go off of what Mr. Daniel stated to us, a lot of these buy walks, some of them are generated by phone calls. A majority of them are just sending a confidential informant just to the J Food store. And they walk up and those drug dealers are on the property. They're sitting on the property waiting to sell drugs to the general public. It's not like we directed them there, the drug dealers there, to go to the J Food store. They were already on the property. So when we tell our confidential informant, hey, go up to the J Food store area and try to buy drugs, they don't have anybody in mind. They're already there on the property, standing there waiting to sell drugs to the general public. And this occurs almost on a daily basis for all police officers out there working that area, is they sit and watch there because they know that's where the drug deals are happening. They're not predetermined. They're not called up. They are sitting on the property waiting to sell drugs to the general public.
Thank you, Officer Clark. Officer Deal, want to comment?
Yes,
real
sir.
quick?
I just want to say, so I know that Mr. Daniels, you said before that drug dealing is not like a violent crime. I would disagree with that. All of your drug dealers, are pretty much armed. And the violent crime that happens in the city is all because of drug dealing. Either a debt that's owed, you want to rob the drugs, you want to do something about that. So I think that is the reason why that we would, ask you guys to, add a detail for this property, because a armed, police car there in the parking lot is going to help this out in this nuisance,
Okay. Well, he indicated you had the substation, and I realize those aren't manned all the time. Maybe make arrangement to park police cars in their parking lot, or,
Some of it, we are willing to concede, for them to have
I might not
an
ever-
open sign in the window and maybe one advertisement, but we need the majority of that space clear compared to definitely what it is now.
Okay. I was just saying, since the substation's right across the street, maybe have the police officers park their car in the Jay's Food Store lot.
We wanted the detail officer because they're trained to know what to look for,
Right.
the suspicious activity. Security guard, their job is to observe and report.
Yeah, I understand. I know most security guards are, it's
So-
not much. So what are we talking cost-wise? I mean, it could be prohibitive. I'm just out of curiosity. How much per hour? You're asking for like 15 hours a day, and how much per hour?
Our detail rate is 45 an hour.
45 an hour, okay. And you want that, how many hours a day per step? Whatever the store hours are, what are the store hours?
6 to 11, 6 a.m. to 11 at night.
I mean, here, 17 hours? Do the math right on that? And that's 7 days a week. I just want to get an idea of what we're looking for. I mean, what we're looking at, right?
I'm trying to abate the nuisance, and that
No,
would
I'm not-
help, so.
I'm not questioning you. I want to make sure I have the information, where, the board
Yes.
has the information,
So if it's 17 hours, it's $765.
a day.
If it's 17 hours, yeah.
I don't know if I did the math right.
Oh,
Back up my math on that 6 a.m. to 11, I sort of.
Yeah, 765,
What's that?
$765 a day.
Okay, keep going. I just want to get that information.
Chief would like to make a statement, too.
Absolutely. Come on forward, Chief Young.
Good morning.
Morning.
Chief Jakari Young, Daytona Beach Police Department. Do I need to be sworn in since I wasn't sworn in as a witness?
Please, sir, thank you for volunteering.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
So first off, I just want to start off by thanking you, the board, for your time and volunteering for this very important position. As I've sat back and listened to the hearing this morning, I commend my team for everything that they've pointed out, but the purpose for me coming forward is I just kind of wanted to fill in a few gaps. First and foremost, there's been a lot of discussion about the substation across the street. I wouldn't even really define that as a substation. That office is utilized by my crime suppression team. They do not operate 24 hours a day, and they are not specifically assigned to that location. That building is currently lacks the IT infrastructure in order for them to operate out of that building on a 24/7, 365 setup. It doesn't have the IT infrastructure for that. So that is more of an office for my crime suppression team to go in, do their paperwork, and then they deploy out of there, but they're all over the city. They don't get to stay and focus right there in that area. So the actual owner of that business met me here. It was during a commission meeting, and he said, hey, I would really like more of a police presence. Can we work out some kind of a deal with the city on some type of lease agreement just for the optics of having, the police in the area? And I said, you know what, it sounds like a great idea, so we were able to work that out. One would think by merely having a building that says Daytona Beach Police Department on it, right there at that location, one would think that that would act as a deterrent. Obviously, it does not. Obviously, as far as that was an epic fail. And I can tell you there's nobody that is more bothered by what takes place across the street than me, because it is my name that is on that building. It says Chief Jakari Young, so to have all of that going on directly across the street from a building that has my name on it is an issue for me. Mr. Rice, you had asked a question as far as the overall draw to that area.
Yes, sir.
I've been with the city of Daytona Beach just shy of 23 years. As a rookie police officer, that was my zone. I was assigned to that area, and that area has always been synonymous for drug use. Like anyone coming into the city that may have a drug problem that will ask someone else that deals in drugs, where can I go? They're going to give you that location. They're going to give you that general location. So it's just like Detective Clark stated, when you have these dealers that are already on site, That's part of the draw. And then you still got to remember, even though they don't have designated feedings at the coalition located just behind there, I believe, I'm not familiar with all the services, but they provide services throughout the day. So those that are genuinely seeking help, they're going to respond to that location to receive certain services. And some of these drug dealers prey on those folks that are coming into that area because they know they're struggling, they know they're addicts, so they're going to come into that area so that they can profit off of the addicts that are there to provide service. And then when you have the J that sits directly in front of it, that will give you everything you need to support your habit. It will give you the glass pipe. It will give you the chore boy. It's like a one-stop shop. So I've started this year, or actually I ended last year, in a strategic planning session. And in my strategic planning session, I asked the entire department to take a problem-oriented policing approach. Because when you look at the city as a whole, we're growing. We're growing very rapidly. We're growing out west. And I think we spend a lot of time focusing on that new growth. So what I've asked my department to do was, let's take a look at all of the long-standing problem areas throughout the city and figure out why they are a problem and what we can do, what is our role in the city in eradicating certain areas. So we mentioned the drug sales. We've talked a lot about the drug sales, but like Detective Deal already mentioned, if I were to provide a printout, which I do not have today, of just the incidents that occur on that property, it's bigger than drug sales. You're going to see aggravated assaults, you're going to see aggravated batteries, you're going to see robberies. And like it's already been stated, a lot of that starts with a drug deal gone bad. So that is like the culmination of what we have going on that property. And I don't expect all of it to be solved today in this hearing, but what I'm asking of my staff is to just be relentless in our follow-up. So we mentioned the sanctions that were put in place in 2017. There's a litany of reasons why, you know, they kind of fell off. 2017, we had a changing in leadership. That is when then Chief Chitwood left and became Sheriff Chitwood. We had a real-time crime center. Now we partner with the Volusia County Crime Center. So what we would be asking was, let's get these cameras reestablished and now tie them into the VC, we call it VC3. It's the Volusia County's Crime Center, in which we are a partner with. That way it would give us those eyes on property, or when a crime occurs, it will give us the evidence that we need, the probable cause that we need to file charges or do whatever we need to eradicate the issues that are going on. So there's been like a litany of changes that have occurred since 2017, and I think it's just the underlying theme of, you know, you get what you inspect, not what you expect. So the moment we stop with the regular monitoring of things, then you see the steady decline. It goes back to, you know, what we're dealing with right now. So the onus is also going to be on us as a police department. Like, we can't walk away from this hearing and say, okay, we're good now. Like, this is going to have to be like a consistent monitoring of that property to assure that they are in compliance with everything that we are asking. Because for me, it's ultimately about, you know, quality of life and the overall reduction of crime. When the new city manager got here about 2 years ago, he said, hey, I want to do, you know, I want Daytona Beach to be one of the most desirable places to live, work, and play. So as a police chief, I've had to identify my role in that. How do we do that? And it's through this. It's through problem-oriented policing, and we have to stop turning a blind eye to certain businesses that have been just operating, you know, the way they have been, and creating, you know, further calls for service and this uptick in overall crime.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
I'm a lifelong resident of Daytona Beach myself, and so I appreciate your efforts. And US 1's going to be a tough turnaround, but hopefully we can do it. it's skid row for us right now, you know, unfortunately. All right, anything more discussion on, so make sure, I just, you know, I'm affording everybody the opportunity to be heard. That's what, you know, that's what.
No, that's it from my side. I appreciate the chief clarifying.
Before you go into something long, I did want to take a quick bathroom break.
Oh, it wouldn't be long. It was very short, actually.
Okay.
So, yeah, I just wanted to say one of the things I didn't point out, and one of the things we really had made reference to, is that after every event, after every violation, we gave notification. So it's not like we're just disregarding the owner. We believe that the owner should know, and we're looking towards the owner to take action to make this stop. And it's nice that we have what's almost the equivalence of a parked police car, you know, as a deterrent, but we need the owner to take action, and that's all we're asking for through these sanctions, that the owner take the actions necessary. He's informed of what's happening on his property. He's informed even by a letter that this report's available. He can get with law enforcement and even know who he's looking for when they come back again. So we just need an owner who's diligent in trying to make this stop.
Okay, all right. So before we move to the discussion phase within the board, unless you,
I have nothing.
okay,
but-
okay, I want to do is like a 5-minute bathroom break for everyone here. We've been here a little over about an hour and 40 minutes. Assuming 5 minutes is sufficient for everybody? And then, okay, all right. So we will re-adjourn at 10:55 satellite time. guys.
No problem.
All right, we
I
still have our
have a- I have
mics
another
on. I never
question.
turned mine off.
And I have another question, too.
You have another question? Okay. All right. Who you want to ask it of?
City, or maybe the attorney.
Okay, all right, we're going to move to board discussion, but Ms. Ruby says she has one more question, and who's your question of, Ms. Ruby?
I think it would be the city attorney, maybe. I'm not sure which one of you.
Why don't you ask a question, and whoever feels,
Yes, that sounds good.
able to respond.
So earlier I asked the question, when the sanctions were in place in 17 and 18, was there a reduction? And I think it would be helpful to know, even if it was just, how did calls for service compare between the two? Not just the drug deals, but just overall calls for service. You said there's robberies, there's assaults, and I don't know if that's something relevant for the board to be able to consider, maybe not this time, but in the future, I think that would be useful information, because if the property owner is saying, well, these sanctions are really expensive, if the city can show that they made a difference, or maybe they didn't make a difference, it would just be, in terms of overall crime suppression, it would be useful information. And I don't know if that's something that would even be relevant for us to consider.
If you have an answer, don't speculate if you don't have an answer to a question. That, you're saying, was anybody there back in between 2017, 2018 who can respond to that question? I think is what
Well,
you're saying.
I suspect that's a question that could be answered pretty quickly from their computer system.
Yeah, I would say that for the determination of a public nuisance, it's not relevant, because that's a limited period of time, and you know, that you have to make that determination. In terms of the type of sanctions you want to issue, I think you want to issue sanctions that have been effective, that are effective, and that information would let you know, well, we did it once, did it work? If it didn't work, why do it again? But if it did work, maybe we should reinstitute it for another year. You know, part of your big limitation here is whatever you say can only be good for up to a year. And after a year, things can resort back to, and it's not a violation of your order, but it can start reverting back
Right.
to the way things were before. But yeah, I think it would be very relevant in terms of making sure whatever you ordered the property owner to do, that if it could help you say, yeah, that was effective before, let's do it again.
Well, you can't just look at that year, you have to look at the years around it, too. You have to look at the trend.
Yeah, you would see it was
Yeah.
bad, we issued the order, it got good, the order expired, all of a sudden it started getting bad again.
Right.
And so you would say, yeah, whatever we did during that year in 2017 was successful. Maybe we should reinstitute that.
But it doesn't have to be just related to the crimes specific to nuisance abatement. It could be all calls for service?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
but not the determination of the
Right.
public nuisance, but hey, what we did help the crime in that area and help the nuisance, the
Well,
abatement issue go away.
And help the quality of life of neighbors in the
All right, so
area.
we know you guys are now
Okay, sorry.
doing the discussion, which I thought we were moving to, but you wanted
Okay,
to have,
sorry.
you had a question.
And I
so-
turned it into a discussion, sorry.
You did, yeah.
Sorry.
So my point was, this question was, how did it all go back in 2017, 2018? I just want to make sure, do we have someone there who can address that? Chief Young is indicating he has an answer to that question. Thank you, sir.
Good morning again, Chief Chikari Young, Daytona Beach Police Department. So back in 2017 and 2018, I was serving in the capacity of Deputy Police Chief. And I remember when the sanctions went in place and they had a security guard on property, I remember just riding by just to check, just to see if, there was a noticeable difference, and it was. It was a huge difference initially when you had the security on property. The parking lot was pretty sterile. The only folks in the parking lot were those that were going inside to patronize the business. And then upon coming out of the store, they would leave once they had made their purchase. And then over time, for various reasons, it tapered off. I believe there was like a changing of security companies and different things of that into effect, just wanting to see the difference, and it made a huge difference. Hopefully that answers.
Yes. I have another question about the sanctions.
Okay, of the chief? Or just a question in general?
In general, we're requesting that there be security guard and detailed officer. Would it as a way to somewhat ease the cost burden, would there be a way to structure the time frame so that maybe, the old one was security guard 11 to 7, maybe security guard only from 6 a.m. to 11, and then the doubling up from 11 to 7, and then 7 to 11, just the security guard, or something like that, so that it's not just blanket double coverage from 5 a.m. to 11. So I'm just asking to
Or
think
another
about
way of
that a
asking
little bit.
it probably be, is there a peak time that the police department sees the activity? Is there a peak time, or does it start at 6 a.m. and it goes to 11 p.m.?
I would have to, go back and look at the data,
Okay.
but it's usually in the evening hours is when we'll get most of you got the drug sales pretty much going on all the time, but a lot of the other stuff creeps in after dark. But reference to what you're asking, I would be amenable to that. I wouldn't really have an issue if we figured out how to stagger. I think our concern is when we talk about the police detail, the officers have to sign up to work the detail and be willing to work the detail. So in the event they don't sign up to work it, we would at least have security there. It's kind of like the same issue we deal with at Razzles. That's a very hard detail to fill. We can't get volunteers to work certain details, so that would be my only concern with this location. I don't know until we put it out there and see.
I got you.
Okay.
It's a manpower issue.
Right.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
And we do feel that the police detail will be far more effective than.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
The one thing I could maybe help, just looking at there, because I went back when y'all were on break and I looked at the incident reports just to try to see if there was a time frame that they happened. I believe there are 2 incidents that happened around 9 to 10 o'clock in the morning, and all the rest of the incidents happened around between, say, 2 and 4 in the afternoon. That's where, at least the incidents here. There may be incidents that happen, that aren't part of the documents that have been presented to us later, because I was expecting it to be later after the sunset, there would be more incidents. But in terms of these controlled buys, they were, vast majority of them were like around 2:20, 2:30, 3 o'clock type things.
Okay,
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chief.
thanks.
And with regard to Detectives Clark and Deal, what's your experience? Sounds like you guys are the boots on the ground, so to speak. What's your experience with the criminal activity? Is there a time when it's more active than less active?
It's Detective Clark again.
Yes, sir.
Majority of the drug sales occur all day, from the time 7 o'clock in the morning all the way till they close. The reason being, most of our buys with our confidential informants are done during the day, is safety reasons. We don't send a confidential informant out at nighttime. We can't see what's going on. We can't see him. There's safety reasons. I know, I've been with the city for almost 20 years. The narcotic sales are occurring a lot at nighttime also. That's probably more of the peak time, but during the day, lunchtime hours, the drug sales are occurring all day.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
And if I could
Thank
ask, Mr. Chair, I think Ms. Ruby had asked about the peripheral, the other things that occur that's not by definition under the nuisance abatement criteria, but other criminal activity. So does the criminal activity broaden at night? And that's the general perspective, that it's probably under the cover of darkness that you got more criminal activity. Is that the case?
That is correct. We do get generated calls or a lot more at nighttime for service, but they do occur during the day too. But reason being, a lot of people are out of jobs or out of their jobs, and that's where they go and hang out at nighttime. I know I've been looking into this for a long time, and generally the calls would kind of surprise you how many calls are actually generated at the J Food store. I could speak because I've looked at it. It's more than what you would imagine for a normal business to be. I know we can't go too far into it without having the actual data here for it, but the crime does occur all day from the time it opens till the time it ends. Your more violent type stuff is occurring more in the afternoon portion from 12 o'clock on.
What's the next closest convenience store to
It would be down by Mary McLeod Bethune and Ridgewood, which is the,
South of there?
yeah, it's approximately 3 to 4 blocks away.
Okay.
And they don't have nearly the amount of problems that we're dealing with the
Okay.
GJs.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir.
Just on the point of the calls, you know, we've been here before.
Yes, sir.
And you
Yes.
understand that this board is new, and I welcome y'all to this. I'm actually on the board myself, and I'm the chairman of the Housing Authority Board, so I appreciate y'all being a volunteer as well. I volunteer. The calls for service, as we clarified last time, was that people call for service at the J Food store with issues happening on the side of the road, but they use the J Food store. Last time I got a booklet, and we went through some of these, and we were able to eliminate a abundance of them. As if I get hit right on the side where the people stand at, if y'all drive by there, there's a bunch of people just standing right there. They're going to come to the store and ask for help. And the store owner and clerks are going to call from the J Food store, and the police are going to come to the store. So not all of these crimes are actually on the property. Just to clarify that, some of these sales, yes, but a lot of services calls happen in that vicinity. And if you need help, where are you going to go? You're going to go to the store. You're going to ask somebody to call. Where are you located? And we listened to him, Chief Capri, we met. I'm at the J Food store. And so then we were able to take that one out of the booklet. It was several. So just saying, I understand officers is testifying to that, but we're using certain reference points to what these issues occur down that street, and people come for help. And so the J Food store also aids people who are in need of help sometimes too, even though then it turns around and says we're actually the place of where this action actually occurs. So just want to clarify that for a point of reference.
Okay, thank you. All right, I think we've heard enough testimony. We're moving to discussion on the sanction. So I want to, unless there's a specific question that'll help us fashion the sanctions. Again, I know there's not a motion on the table. Let's have a little bit of a discussion as to what we're going to do, and then I can formulate it, and then somebody can make the motion based upon, or if somebody wants to make, someone has a motion they want to make, I'll entertain the motion. Again, as the chair, I can't make any motions. So, Ms. Ruby or Ms. Keel or Mr. Murphy are in a position to make a motion, or we can have a discussion and I can restate what I understand the motion to be, and then someone can say that's correct or not, to assist. So I've done this quite a few times.
Yes, obviously.
But I don't want to, be overbearing.
So can we add a sanction to restrict the sale of paraphernalia? Is that
I think
something
that
we're
would be
allowed to
a
do?
good idea. I mean, we've done that in past. We prohibited the store from selling it used to be with the glass pipes. I forget, there's a name, Chore Boy, and there's another name for them, some little flowered glass pipe they were using. What is it?
The glass roses?
Yeah, the rose glass or whatever it is, the glass.
Now have pens. They look like pens now.
Oh, okay, so they've moved on from the rose glasses, whatever. I never knew what it was. We used to banned it. The little baggies. So we can include paraphernalia. We probably should define it a little bit just to help. But I think that would be a good idea. That way the drug dealers don't have a reason to come in and get the baggies to parse up their drugs, or the users don't get the pipes and smoke it. Gentlemen, just very quickly, we've talked about what are the paraphernalia that the drug dealers are using. I know Chore Boy, I've heard.
All right, sir, Justin Deal again.
Yes, sir.
I would say the Chore Boy, I would say the plastic baggies, I would say the crack pipes, and the scales.
When you say crack pipes, I'm sorry. You can clarify what you mean.
So the roses, like the pen roses now that they're selling.
Pen roses, okay.
Yeah, I guess the difficult thing, and I think what the chairman's getting at and what the attorney's getting at, is we need to write it down in a way, if that's what the motion is going to go, that the average person can read it and say, okay, this is what I got to do to comply. And you know the
Correct.
terminology, you know what you're looking for, but that's because of your job. So any additional description that would help, pictures would be great, but we don't have them, but, any description that would be able to put a reasonable person on notice, hey, when I read this, I know what I got to do to comply and what I can't sell. And I would say with the baggies, do you have?
Size of a baggie?
Yeah, the size, yeah, I don't.
Is there a
yeah.
certain size?
I
I'm
mean,
assuming it's a smaller bag.
Yeah, they're small, like Ziploc baggies.
Like because I occasionally buy those. You got the gallon size, you got the quart size, you got the
Correct.
sandwich
Those are not the
size.
baggies that they're housing those in. I mean, there are like drug dealers that, that are, they're going to
the issue you're
house their
talking-
drugs in those, but not there at the J Food store
So are you talking about
area.
the sandwich size baggies?
No, it's like the Ziploc
These
ones, like the ones that would house like a dime or something, basically. It would,
Okay. So
Smaller than snack size.
Okay.
yes.
small,
I went through-
sale of small plastic baggies. We need something to go by. You know what I mean? Because I want to ban them from
Yeah.
like a quart-sized baggie. So
No, it's smaller than a sandwich bag.
1 inch by 1 inch.
is it 1 inch by 1 inch?
But if you get that specific, then.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Like at jewelry stores.
So,
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
But maybe if you just say smaller than snack size, because snack size is what people come in to buy.
about that big.
Yeah, they're like a
Yeah,
half a
okay.
sandwich size.
Okay.
Because then if you start specifying inches, I would think you'd get into,
Yeah, they do like a
Inch and a
quarter
quarter
inch
by
bigger.
inch.
right.
Ziploc bag smaller than.
Snack size.
Snack size.
Yes, sir. I would agree with that.
Did you hear that? I'm sorry.
Yeah. What'd you say, Tony?
I said no Ziploc bag smaller than snack size should be sold.
I don't even know what snack size is, but if you guys know what that is,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I never find that way on the package themselves.
I don't know what a snack size bag is. Okay.
Are they always Ziplocs, or is it ever any other kind of seal?
So they are like other kinds. So they'll take like a corner off of like a sandwich bag and they'll just like cut off the corner, but that's not, so like anything that's going to be for sale.
Right. That's what I meant.
Yes, ma'am.
It's always Ziploc that's for sale.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So just so we're talking about Chore Boy plastic Ziploc baggies smaller than snack size, crack pipes, Penroses, and scales or something. Scales, the way the
Yes, digital scales.
are for sale at a
Yes.
minute market. Okay. All right, that sounds like something's unique to that area.
So it's a pen or a rose for the crack pipes also, like just to, clarify on that. So it's a pen or a rose.
Or a
And they're-
rose.
Yes, and they're glass. So they're also like metal also.
So is it ink pen style?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do they sell any of those, like other
How about
glass
pipes or
pipes?
pins commonly used to smoke crack cocaine? or
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's fine.
Think it'd be okay to have them submit pictures after to attach to the order?
Yeah, it's okay.
What's that?
What about having them submit pictures after the order is issued to attach to that? So it'd be nice to have it now, but
Right. What did you say again? Pipes or what?
Pen.
Pens.
Pens.
Thank you. That was it.
Or rods.
Is there any way you can say, or something used for the consumption of,
I'd commonly use for smoking crack cocaine, I think.
okay.
Right, and that
Yeah.
what we're talking about?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
All right, sir. Thank you.
All right, so what we've heard so far, at least that the city's asking for, and keeping in mind what the property owner indicate is feasible or not, city's asking for a closure of 10-day closure, and they were asking for, I'm gonna recite if I can find the 2017 order, that's 2002. Sorry. So they wanted a 10-day closure. They wanted the same sanctions as 2017, which were provide a security guard on Monday through Saturday each week from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Let's talk about the security guard and the private detail, and what is appropriate, you know.
I thought they were asking for during all business hours.
No, they are. I'm just saying, I'm just reading what happened last time.
Okay.
Now let's talk about what we're
Oh,
gonna do
okay, okay. I thought you were
this time.
saying that's what they were asking for this time.
No, well, no, I'm reading, they said everything that they did last time.
Plus.
Well, yeah, so.
Okay, all right.
They're asking now for expanded hours. So
Okay.
you're correct, yes.
Okay.
I wasn't implying that they're asking for the shorter hours. I'm saying
Okay.
that's what it was last time, but they're asking for, whatever their hours were, 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., I thought I
I
heard.
wrote that down somewhere.
So the question is, for the board, this is just discussion, you know, do we, you know, keeping in mind whether, you know, is it closing the business to order, you know, $765 a day? Plus, do we get the testimony on how much it was per hour for a security? That's the police officers, how much for this for this is a security guard?
We didn't get that.
Does anybody know that? Mr.
imagine
Said,
the
do you know what you
accountant
paid? What did you pay how much you paid for private security guards?
$25 an hour.
Okay, because didn't I hear Mr. Daniels say you all just got a security guard? Or no?
Yes, but, in talks with the city attorney, we're hoping, and we didn't agree with this, but, the offer I was thinking was that you all had the power to bring him back in here if it failed. So given, a reputable security company that we put on the record that we hire, and if that doesn't control the nuisance, then of course the $745 a day would be what I would hope that we could try to do, saying, hey, the security guard is not working, it's not keeping the people from coming, and then we'll just go ahead and bring in a detail, even if the chief couldn't get enough people to sign up. You know, we need to have security there, so that's what kind of what he was saying, because if nobody signs up, then there's no security. But if we get a reputable company there, then we'll just have security there every day. And if that doesn't work, then y'all can always bring Mr. Saeed back and say, hey, you need to make sure you have a detail. So that's what I offered out tonight, but I mean, just to say it on.
Okay,
again,
okay. So Ms. Ruby, just so we have an idea, what's the, how many hours, I say 17 hours, some $25. Did you figure that out for us
Yes,
yet?
$425
A day,
a day.
okay. All right.
And I guess,
Yeah, go ahead. No, this is discussion.
so if there were to be double coverage with a police officer present when available, what would be the optimal hours for that? Would it be like from 4 to 10? You know, what would be the most helpful time?
Yeah, when does the city want their private detail there?
And if it's till 5 to 11, then,
I mean, otherwise, we're talking about $1,200,
right.
close to $1,200 a day. which I
talking
think
with
is-
the
I think
chief.
it's cost prohibitive, frankly. That's-
Sergeant Tim Blowers, Daytona Beach Police Department,
Yes,
talked to
sir.
the chief. He would like more of the evening hours for the detail officer if we had to go that route.
Okay, okay.
So,
And the evening hours, meaning starting at, we have to define it, so
12 to 11,
12 PM, 12 noon?
noon to 11.
Okay,
so 11 hours.
okay.
I was thinking more along the lines of what you already stated. You said 5 p.m. to 11 p.m.
So 5 to 11.
5
is
to
more-
11, okay,
Okay,
right.
thank you. So 5
Yeah.
to 11, that's 6 hours. So I'll do some more math.
Thank God for math.
Thank God for phones. That's 270.
And we're talking 7 days a week, is what the city's looking for. And I didn't hear that, Ann. How much is that?
That's 270, so 6 hours.
270 a day. Okay. Keith, any thoughts on this?
No, just listening.
Mr. Murphy? Well,
I'm afraid that, I mean, the financial burden is going to be pretty great there.
Yeah, like a reverse closure, they call it, or something, you know?
Yeah,
And it's too much.
essentially. I mean, right now, we're talking about $5,000 a week,
$7.95 a day.
$7.95 a day.
$7.95 a day, that sounds like,
Death.
that's a lot of money.
$5,560.
$5,500
Yeah,
a week.
they're not open the same number of hours on Saturday, I don't think, Sunday. But it's roughly $5,500
Per week.
Yeah.
That's, sounds like a little much to me.
Yeah.
Ms. Ruby?
It does sound like a lot, but then in 2017, they did provide the security and the upgraded cameras, the unobstructed windows, and the upgraded lighting, and then they stopped, and it got worse. So we're here again 6 years later. We probably could have been here 3 years ago. So I think there does need to be some cost to this, to them. I don't want to put them out of business, but if this is what the police department is saying will help, you know, we're not just talking about his business. We're talking about the uptown neighborhood. We're talking about residents who live near there and have owned their homes for years, and this store is blighting the neighborhood. And I hear him wanting to do what's right, but sometimes that's expensive. And if the security, maybe we put the security in place for 6 months at this level and then revisit this year. I don't know if that's possible. But I think there does, the fact that the security guard did not continue, that the cameras did not continue, that the windows got obstructed again, just says to me that they want to take the least expensive path forward without regard for what's best for the neighborhood and what's best for the city. So
Well, you might as well, I just did the math. Even the compromise numbers is $24,000 a month. That's if we back the private detail back to 5 to 11. It's $23,815 a month.
But cameras and lighting and all that could have been in place for 6 years, and security guard for 6 years, and helped us. We're here again because everything that was put in place 5 years ago, 6 years ago, was allowed to fall off the books, just fall off their plate for
I
action.
call it backsliding, you know, what we've been talking about.
Backsliding
the
is
whole
a better
time is
word, yes.
Backsliding, you know. I have it at my law firm. I put a rule in place because something happened, and then 5 years later, my staff is backslid. I'm not defending these gentlemen, but we see it all in our businesses and whatever, is the backsliding. So, I mean, the question is $23,815 a month prohibitive and probably essentially a closure of the business? The Supreme Court requires us to use, and I've read the Supreme Court opinions unless they've changed. I have to admit, I'm a little rusty because we haven't been here since 2017 or 18, according to Mr. Ruby.
17.
We have to use the least restrictive means available to bring the property owner into compliance. That's the Supreme Court case law on it. So I'm thinking about one possible compromise, and I'm consensus building here. What about doing the private detail unless there's a violation, and then we kick in the security guard, the security guard option, unless, and then there's a violation, then we look at imposing the private police detail as just looking for, otherwise, gentlemen, $23,850 a month, I think is tantamount to closure. Yes, sir, Chief.
So just hearing the board's concern,
Yes, sir.
if they can get a reputable security company in place, I think we can start there. And then we can take the police detail off the table if we're worried about putting them out of business just based on cost. I have a feeling we'll be back here, and I know this is on record. I have a feeling we'll be back here going this route because we've done it in the past, but,
Okay,
you know,
okay.
as long as they get a rep, but with that, I would ask that that security be in place for the entire time the business is open. So I would ask that that security be there from whether it's 6A or 7A until they close.
Okay, all right, okay.
So-
Thank you, I appreciate your volunteering that.
If they have to come back, while this order is in effect for this year, there's violations, they don't have to then reprove with all these other cases? It could just come back before the board. Is that correct?
Well, what happens is we're going to enter an order, and we retain jurisdiction for a period of 1 year. And if there's a violation within that 1 year period, the city brings it back. We're going to be declaring them a public nuisance, so we don't have to hear all those
Okay.
cases again.
And they
All
don't
we
have
would
to be
hear
in
would be
court.
the new case or cases which serve as a violation. And then under the Supreme Court law, once you've given people opportunity to come into compliance, be a good business neighbor in the neighborhood, then the sanctions, there could be closure. Then you can move to a more severe sanction. But I'm just looking at $23,850 a month. I mean, my business is much bigger than theirs. We probably can sustain that. I'm like, what I'm saying? I mean, let's be how many of you all at your homes can sustain that? It's So anyways, the chief has offered to compromise along the lines of what I had suggested. Other board members have any thoughts on any of that?
That sounds reasonable.
Yeah, I would say that if they're bringing two infractions, just essentially to bring back the board.
Okay. I think they're entitled to bring whenever they want to bring, it doesn't have to be two necessarily. I mean, they're entitled to bring their complaint if there's a violation.
Right,
So
but the-
you're saying,
The violation said there were two within a 6-month period.
Oh,
But you really have
No,
two
we-
sort of issues. One
Yeah.
would be a violation of this board's order.
Right.
that's what we're talking about.
And so a violation of this board's order is they don't have the security detail you order. They sell the stuff you say you're not supposed to sell during the 1 year period of
Gotcha.
time. They don't hook up to the cameras. They don't have the lights, whatever y'all. put
Or
in
there's
place.
another sale.
Now, if another sale occurs,
Because that's we're entering the order prohibiting them from doing that, maintaining the activity that
Yeah.
constitutes a nuisance.
true, that's
So-
true.
So that's that general language that is not negotiable with everyone, generally speaking, that
Right.
is maintaining the activity that's allowing for the nuisance. So, so basically it'd be one, and I'm not suggesting, Mr. Murphy, that, one violation and they're gonna get the death penalty, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying at least on the security measures, let's go with a private security guard from a
Yeah.
cost prohibitive, from a cost standpoint. If there's a violation, whatever it may be, then we step it up to the whatever you'll call it, the police department private detail arrangement.
Yeah, I'm just looking at, there are things he has control over.
Yes.
Like the windows, like the
camera-
baggies.
the cameras,
like
the baggies,
cameras,
yeah.
and like the security people. There are things he doesn't have control over, like there's a drug dealer in his parking lot. Well, you could shoo him off, but you're gonna be shooing him off constantly too. And,
I think that's what the
if you got your
security.
back turned,
Yeah. I think that's the hope where the security guard's gonna take care of, is presumably the
Yeah.
security guard can be in the parking lot and
Okay.
do the shooing.
yeah.
I understand what you're saying, what's to prevent someone from running in real quick and doing a deal all within like a 20-second period,
Guy's gotta go to the bathroom sometime.
Yeah, true. And I think that's what we have to take that into consideration if a violation comes before us on the order. but I agree. That's, as a lifelong resident, described that area, it's Daytona's Skid Row. you
Yeah.
know, Unfortunately. A lot of down luck, on their luck people there. Okay, so, I mean, I don't know if we had consensus, but moving along, the next would be they're upgrading the security cameras. Does it need to be any special language on that? I mean, we had before was respondents shall upgrade the security cameras to allow continuous feed without interruption as well as access for the police department's real-time crime center. Now, I heard from, I think, the chief that now we're hooked into Volusia County or something.
Yeah, we just changed the real-time crime center to VC3,
VC3, and then that's Volusia County, what's that stand for?
Crime Center.
Three
Volusia
Cs.
County, okay. Okay.
VC3.
What the three is,
VC3 Crime Center, would that be?
Yes, that's what they're known as.
Yeah, that would be adequate, okay.
VC3 Crime
Is it
Center.
B or V? V?
B is in Victor.
Victor?
Yes.
Yeah, Volusia County always.
Maybe it was the third iteration of it, who knows? Okay, all right, thank you, sir. All right, and respondents shall keep the store windows unobstructed to allow a clear view inside and outside the store. And gentlemen, what we're looking at there is not only so the police can see in, but so that whoever's operating the store can see out and see what's happening, so you can take action. If there's something going on in your premises, you have an obligation to deal with it. Otherwise, you're back here with us. So I think they want the clerks to be able to see what's going on out in the parking lot. So you can't say you didn't know what was going on in the parking lot. So that's the reason for the windows to be kept clear. Respondents shall continue to keep, says continue, so maybe we have to add, keep the exterior lighting maintained at crime prevention through environmental design standards. What is there and what do we need to add to that provision?
If you just go by the SEPTED standards, there's a candle power formula that the parking lot has to have, and we will go out there and retest it to the standards.
Is
Okay.
it C as in the letter C, P, E, C, C, P, D, E, D?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, all right. I just didn't know if it's 5 years old, I want to make sure we've got the most current language. Okay, and respondents shall maintain registration and compliance with the Daytona Beach Police Department's Business Trespass Initiative Program and the Trespass Arrest Site Program. I think that's still the same from what I heard. And then there was something,
The paraphernalia,
the paraphernalia. right.
closing for 10 days. That wasn't last time.
Yeah, I mentioned the closing for 10. I'm just sort of adding the closing days. We talked about the paraphernalia. I'm just trying to think if there's something else that Mr. Liaison requested.
Cost?
The $5,000 cost. Thank you. I knew there was something that
Okay.
we hadn't mentioned. Is there any discussion on that from the board? Okay.
If they can get all that done sooner, I don't,
And how's that,
That's the question, yeah.
what's that now?
I said if they can get all that done sooner than 10 days.
Correct.
Okay.
Right,
I
maybe.
don't see why you'd have to close them for 10 days. but-
What are your thoughts on that?
That's what I was going to suggest too. Thank you. If it can be done in 5 days, then make it 5 days, but it needs to be done. Not 30 days.
It being, we were talking
All
about the
the-
$5,000. You're not talking about the other conditions.
All the other conditions, yeah. If they can
Okay.
get all that done.
What's the, yeah, I know for me to get a plumber, or electrician out to my house, it takes forever. So what,
Yeah, but most of the stuff is stopping the sale of.
yeah, no, I agree. No, I was talking about the cameras and all that type of stuff. I don't know, is that practically good then?
Last time the police came to the store, I guess, and we had to get a guy in there who did the feed, and then they now it's a different feed. So I don't know how this hooking up to this VC, whatever it is now would work. Had a gentleman come in and, do the new infrastructure. So I think that would probably, it didn't take long once they came in and the access is more of the issue of the new feed. That's probably is going to be a point of reference.
Yeah, so
Getting a
how-
security guard is not going to be that difficult. It's more of a, like the chief said, a reputable business.
Right.
So I don't see that taking a while, but them coming in, and I guess y'all IT person came in last time and then said that y'all needed some new wiring. So that's just a matter of logistics with those gentlemen coming through, because I'm sure it's some type of network issue.
Okay, I didn't understand, my folks were saying something about,
This
the
talking about
10-day
business
closure.
Yeah.
I hear some reluctance to impose that 10-day closure if
Well-
they take whatever action.
If, like I said, if they can get their act together in 5 days,
Okay.
then you're closing them for 5 days that they don't need to be closed for. And
Okay.
that's,
And so I'm trying, what is the measure of getting their act together? Obviously, no sales, not maintaining the nuisance. I didn't know if you included, getting some lighting or two cameras and all that stuff. I was just implying, I think that takes a while.
that takes a while.
Yeah.
That might be, a month,
Right.
to get the lighting up to speed and everything.
And how are we doing the lighting? Is the lighting okay there, or does they need new lighting?
I haven't measured it recently, but it does appear to be dark out there at nighttime, but I'd have to measure it to
Okay.
see if it meets the standards or not.
Okay, well, before I sort of restate, yeah,
I'll just say something, sir. Justin Deal. So the lighting at the business, so there is a light that's like over the sign, but the lighting, I think, around the business is what it needs to improve also.
Okay.
So that the loitering up against the business,
yeah.
so in the front door,
Don't give them cover in
right,
darkness.
correct.
Okay, and so that's something that you guys deal with, though, right? I mean, this crime, whatever this,
Septed.
Yes,
SEPTED, whatever you call it, whatever the acronym is.
I have taken the class from the state.
Okay. So we're talking about putting lights all the way around the building. Is that what you all do, or what?
We don't put the lights up, we measure the candle power to make sure that there's adequate lighting throughout the entire parking lot. If there's areas that need more lighting, we would then tell them and they would have to add more.
Okay, so as long as we put that they have to maintain it to SEPTED levels, and we're okay with that. You guys
Yes.
can deal with that. Okay, all right. So make sure our order is specific enough so that if there's a violation, you guys can bring your violation back. And the mechanics of this fine, it's like a lien that goes against them, or what? What's?
Yeah, ultimately, the statute provides under our code provides under section 62-9, subsection D, the various things. The board may order an owner or operator of a place or premises which is the site of public nuisance to pay a fine not to exceed $250 per day, or violation of the order of the board. I'm sorry, for a violation of the order of the board. That's one thing. The board may also order payment of reasonable costs, including reasonable attorney's fees, associated with investigation of and hearing on public nuisances. The board may also impose a fine not to exceed $500 per day for
Repeat violations.
reoccurring, or what would be repeat.
Yeah, no, I understand that you have the authority to impose this cost. I understand that. My question is, what's the mechanics of it?
If it's not paid, it would be a encumbrance against the property itself, I believe.
Okay, I didn't know. It says we're making them pay it monthly, or you just impose the cost of $5,000 and.
Well, I've been informed we had a mechanism but our typical request on.
Just assess the fine, and then you guys deal with the collection?
Yes, that'd be for the best. Is that what we were thinking on it? I got a mind of code.
Yes, that would be fine.
Okay. My code mind is a little different on that.
Yeah, no problem. I didn't know if I need to put something in there about that, other than just assess the $5,000 cost of prosecution, whatever we call it.
Well, I mean, the one thing is, as they say, that there's things that are outstanding that haven't been paid, so we'd like it paid, and I mean, otherwise, again, it'll just be an encumbrance against the property, but if you want to put a time period, we'd appreciate the time period.
Pay it within the year?
About 6 months, so that, I mean, if we wait till a year, then it could be
180 days?
done before.
Okay,
addressing-
$5,000 cost within 180 days.
I think that's reasonable.
Okay, now the question is whether I can put all this together. All right.
You might want to consider voting on each item instead of one whole motion. It's up to you.
And just for clarification,
Scott.
just for clarification, looking at the statute under 893, 138,
Yeah.
under subsection 11, it says that after it states the fine amounts, it says, provide for the recording of orders on public nuisances so that the notice may be given to subsequent purchasers, successors in interest, or signs of the real property that is subject of the order. And it goes on, but basically saying that it would be an encumbrance on the property.
So it doesn't say anything about having to pay it, it just says assess the cost, and then if they don't pay it, it becomes an encumbrance?
Yes, provide that recording of orders on public nuisance may become liens against the real property that is the subject of the order, and provide for the foreclosure of property subject to a lien and recovery of all costs, including reasonable attorney's fees associated with the recording of orders and foreclosure. So very much the type of language that you hear with general code enforcement. So it's a lien against the property that would be enforced through foreclosure if necessary.
All right, well, I'm not gonna include all that, that's sort of your gig, right?
That's statutory.
You're gonna get your cost, your lien. So in other words, they've got liens against them right now that could be foreclosed upon.
That's correct.
It sounds like about $30,000 worth of, I thought I saw 23 or 24 on one, and,
I think the total is maybe about 15, 16.
Yeah, it's like
Oh, okay.
14,000 on one and then 1,000 something
oh,
for
okay,
the
okay, I
utilities.
misspoke, I apologize, okay, all right. Okay, I'm gonna try to restate what I think is what a motion is gonna sound like from if somebody wants to make it subject to modifications. And so, am I hearing that there's not an inclination to do the closure? Is that what I'm hearing, or what am I hearing on the closure?
I'm kind of inclined to want the closure.
Okay.
Because,
Get their attention?
get their attention, yeah.
Okay, all right. Kara, what's your feeling on the closure?
Like he said, maybe if they could get it done sooner, they don't have to be closed.
See, I don't know what it is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, because you guys keep saying that, get it done sooner. I need to know, what do you mean by
Come into
it?
compliance, is that better? Comply with,
Your requirements.
Well,
Okay.
what about the three, meet at least three of them, get the cameras hooked up to the VC3, get the lighting up to the September standards, and get the security officer there, all open hours.
I would
And,
also add to that, removing things from the window and removing the
The abs-
prohibited items from
Okay.
sale.
okay,
Those all can be done pretty
That can be done.
relatively quickly.
Those being the removing the prohibited items. Again, my concern is, I can't get an electrician out to my house in 30 days' time. And
Exactly.
you're acting like you're gonna get this whole camera system set up in 10 days. I think that's just frankly unrealistic. So I need to know what you all say about get it done. If it's get it done, like get their cameras set up
Get
and their
the-
lighting,
get the
that's
cam-
not gonna happen in 10 days. I mean, must be,
The lighting, could take a month.
sure,
well,
yeah.
don't they have some lights in place? I mean,
Yeah.
is it a matter of simply increasing the lumens or whatever it is and the lights they already have there? I mean, I think, maybe they have to come up with a plan with an expedited contract. You know, it can't just be, even if they're closed for 10 days, it could be that none of this stuff is done. That could be just because of what you're saying. So maybe this muddies things too much, but maybe they're closed and then to show that they have a contract in place to acquire the equipment and get it installed in an expedited fashion. So they're willing to pay a premium so they can be open. But there needs to be some urgency around this on their part. Because they had cameras, they had lights that could have all been maintained. There's nothing that stopped them when the city changed to a different system at the crime center from them going and saying, hey, what went on? Let me hook up to this new thing. Nothing stopped them from doing that.
Okay. I just try to,
You want me to throw in an idea? Is it
Yes.
all right if you
Yeah.
want? I would say, what if we say by February 12th, they will have the security in place? It'd be a week from today, next Monday.
Yeah.
They will have all prohibitive items removed from the shelves.
Yeah.
They will have the windows clear of debris. And I think those are the three things they can fully control themselves. Is there any other one that they could do within 5 days? I don't think so.
it's like you give them 7 days to get those things done.
Yeah,
And
within
if-
7 days, yeah. Within,
Right.
but- Yeah, yeah, more or less. And then I would say, as an idea, maybe 20 days from the date following, 20 days from the date the city goes out and inspects the lights, they will bring the lights into compliance. And within 20 days of the city going out and inspecting the video surveillance, they will become in compliance. Because it depends on, the city's got to get out there and tell them whether they're in compliance or not, so we should measure from that date.
Right.
And so I'm just throwing 20 days, you can move it out. Those are just, I think I covered everything other than the payment.
I'm just reluctant to throw in the electrical work and the video work on a timeline.
Okay.
Just, don't you agree? I mean,
Well, they got to do it by a certain, you
Right.
could do
Yeah. No, I
60
got you.
days if you want, but it has to be at some point in time, they got, for them to actually be in non-compliant to be brought back here.
that's what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
It's I don't have a problem with a realistic date.
Well, if we set a date of 30, you said 30 days? If
I
you-
said it could be
20
any
days.
days.
If you set 20 days, so you're thinking 20 business days too, right? So that's really.
Well, I
Well,
think
they
you're
got
thinking about them, but they're
days.
open 7 days a week.
Yeah,
But the
so-
Workers don't work 7 days a week,
Right.
they don't work 5.
Right,
people
so really that's a month.
We don't
But
talk
no,
business
wait.
days. We don't, that's like,
Okay.
yeah, we
So-
talk days, total
Okay,
days.
so X number of days. Then they do come back, and then if they can show that they have a contract, then that's with a sizable deposit down and that they're proceeding in good faith, that's different. But I think, and I don't know, maybe they need to close going back to that other issue, close for a day to do some of that. The removing, the unobstructing, some of that could require a business
Well, and the
closure.
other thing I would point out is, typically what I see with these type of things and other code, staff has to bring it back to y'all to be involved. So staff will be in contact with them, and if staff, even though they didn't comply by a certain date, if staff says, oh, they're close to compliant, they made a good faith effort, it's up to staff to bring it back here to find them in
I agree.
violation. So the staff they have to make,
They have the
so
leeway, yeah.
staff could say, well, look at what all they've done, they have the guy coming out in 3 days,
Right.
we're not gonna bring them back to the board for that.
I think that's what we usually look for, is do we get their attention? Are they coming into compliance and working with the staff? Are they working with Sergeant Blowers to do what they're supposed to do? And we're running out of time here. I see the chief looking at his watch, and I keep looking at the clock, so. The question we're asking is, do we do 10 days closure? Do you want to do 2 days closure to get their attention or not do the, I hear 2 votes against the closure, is what I'm hearing. I don't want to, let's don't overcomplicate it, all these dates. I mean, to me, fair enough. If they don't get the security guard in place, if they don't remove the paraphernalia and clear the windows by February 12th or February 15th, then you could do a 10-day closure or something. But tying in this video camera stuff,
Right.
I think is unrealistic. do the stuff that they can control, but the stuff they can't control, don't make that a time limit. I mean, certainly we could make it 30 days or 45 days, but my impression is it's all dependent on also how quickly the police move to do their part of it. Am I correct on the lighting and on the security, on the feed?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just so,
We're overcomplicating it, I think.
yeah, and we agree with those concerns. We realize that the time period for the things like putting the cameras and so forth is a lot more challenging than 3 to 5 days. We know we don't have guarantees on those time periods.
Yeah.
The periods that they can control, as y'all have mentioned before, we believe that that's a fair analysis, and we believe that those things can be done as was testified to that or expressed by the
got you,
staff,
yeah.
that it's that any single day they can go out there and make buys, and so we believe there's an immediacy and an urgency to get the things in place to say, let's make this stop now. And so we don't need 10 days to do that, but we do think maybe even if it's 3 to 5 days, just something that says, stop a moment, take a deep breath, get these things in place.
Stop as a closure, maybe a brief closure?
Yeah,
you're saying?
we're okay with that, to get this stuff in place. So, yeah, stop, close, get the stuff in place, and then let's go from there. We're not looking for any kind of long-term closure. What we're looking for is long-term solutions. And we think long-term solutions is them getting those things in place immediately and then working immediately to get everything else that can't be done that would need the assistance of the city as far as the cameras and so forth, and hooking up with Real-Time Crime Center or VC3 Crime Center.
We got to get done.
No.
So at some point,
I'm
let's
fine.
wrap this.
Yeah.
Okay? No, I mean, I'm not saying wrap it just to wrap it, but I think everyone had noon blocked off for this hearing, so.
And if I can just
I
say
think- yeah,
one more thing,
briefly.
as you know, I wrestle with this. I just spoke with the chief on it. We're actually looking at least on the that user fee that we said that's hanging out there and needs to be resolved. As y'all expressed strong concerns about them to economically handle, we'd like them to handle these things that y'all are ordering them to handle. And if that means trading off this user fee, then we're willing to have that as a consideration to ensure that we get the coverage that's necessary going forward. You know, user fee is a historic thing. It happened way back. Where are we now, and what can we do going forward to ensure that we have a place that is a place that
But more
is
important that we
appropriate for
get
the city?
the security people
We want
on
security,
site,
we want,
pay for that as opposed to.
yeah, we want everything paid for, we want it going forward. We're just ready for it to happen. And the expression that we've gotten from them is that they're ready to get it done so that we can become a better community in that area.
Okay, all right. So, just to get this whole closure thing over
Yeah.
with. Obviously, we can close them if they don't do what they're supposed to do, all right? As opposed to have like some automatic closure. The question is, are we gonna order any closure? Ann Ruby's saying she wants the 10-day closure that the police are asking for.
If the police are fine with 3, I'm fine with 3.
3-day closure?
Yes.
Okay. I can live with a 3-day closure.
I can live with a 3-day
I
closure.
don't think that puts.
I can too.
Okay, all right. I don't think that puts them out of business. I think that gets their attention. And, okay, I'm gonna do my best to restate what I understand may be a motion from the board. Bear with me and help me out, because there's a lot of things we talked about, so. My understanding is, give me 1 second, that having found the business to be a public nuisance, we're going to be entering an order to the effect that the respondents, and that, by the way, is property owner, business owner, respondents jointly and severally are hereby prohibited from maintaining the nuisance on the property.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Can I interrupt you?
Sure.
I'm okay setting aside the $5,000 fee as well. Because you were going to start listing the sanctions, right?
Okay, okay.
So I don't,
Well, I think what they're saying is, we assess the $5,000 cost, but they don't have to it becomes a lien against the property. I
Oh,
think
just
is what
leave it as a
Tony was
lien
saying.
out
Is that what
there?
I'm hearing?
okay.
Yeah, let's impose,
Okay.
the police have their costs in this thing. What he's saying is, don't make it as a condition of our order that they pay it, is what they're
Okay.
saying.
All right,
Okay.
cool.
Doesn't mean they have to get out of it, except if we go sell the property, he's
Okay.
gotta pay it.
Okay, thank
Um,
you for clarifying.
Let's see, hold on one second, I'm missing something here.
I'm also wondering, is there any benefit to this board scheduling another meeting to review this, rather than having to call a meeting? Like in 60 days, to get a progress report?
I'm fine with that.
So am I.
Okay, so,
I don't mean to make your life complicated.
I mean, I don't know what the thought is from the respondent, but historically, we only came back if we needed to come back. I mean, if it is a desire and if the board, it's really within the hands of the board as to whether they, if you want to make things conditional that we come back and check on, but that would be the board's option. But historically, we haven't taken that path.
Okay.
And I think our preference would be that if we have a necessity to come back, we will go ahead and schedule it and notify the parties and
Okay.
and so forth.
Okay.
Is that correct? Y'all want me with that? Okay.
Cool.
Yes.
okay, so again, just to restate it, my understanding is I will be entertaining and motioning along the lines of prohibiting the respondents jointly and severally from maintaining the nuisance on the property. Also, respondents will be jointly and severally prohibited from allowing conduct, operation, or maintenance of any business or activity on the property which is conducive to such nuisance. And we are going to require the respondent to provide a security guard from a reputable security company during all business hours at the respondent's cost, at the cost of the respondent. And the respondent shall upgrade the security cameras to allow a continuous feed without interruption, as well as access for the VC3 Crime Center. Respondents shall keep the store windows unobstructed to allow a clear view inside and outside the store. Respondents shall keep the exterior lighting maintained at crime prevention through environmental design standards, also known as CPTED. Respondents shall maintain registration and compliance with the Daytona Beach Police Department's Business Trespass Initiative Program and Trespass Arrest Site Program. Respondents shall pay a cost of $5,000 to the city for their cost in policing and bringing this action. All right, let me go back to my notes here. Respondent is prohibited from selling paraphernalia such as chore boys, plastic Ziploc bags smaller than snack size, pipes, pens, and other paraphernalia commonly used to smoke crack cocaine. I meant to include the rows and the rods commonly used to smoke crack cocaine and the like.
Scales?
Thank you. Digital, and sale of, and sale of digital scales is also prohibited. And the items of requiring and maintaining a security guard shall be done by February, security guard, sorry, let me just restate that. Respondents shall get the security guard underway that is hired and on premises, shall remove all the items of paraphernalia, and shall clear the windows no later than February 12th, 2024. And the board shall impose a 3-day closure to begin February 15th? Or immediately? What's the city looking for on the closure?
Starting tomorrow?
Okay,
Midnight on the 6th.
okay, starting, how about 11 PM on the 6th? Because 12 was just confused, 12 twice a day.
Not midnight.
True. Starting, is there an issue, because our order won't be written and entered by that time, probably?
We like to give them a day to tell the employees, so starting Wednesday.
Doing the math, that's February 7th.
Yes, sir.
Tony, is there any issue?
What about Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? As the site does have a business that's going to pay for this, that works hard on Fridays when people cashing their checks, so he's okay with
So
Tuesday.
he's okay starting tomorrow then?
Yes.
About, if it was Tuesday midnight? Well, no, that's, yeah, how
Yeah,
about starting Tuesday, just close it, we'll close you starting tomorrow morning, starting 12:01 a.m. on February 6th, and then would end 12:01 a.m. on
February 9th.
February 9th.
It opens at 6 in the morning, so whatever time, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay.
So that's basically Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
So basically, you're going to be closed for business Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That is February 6th, 7th, and 8th of 2024.
And
Okay.
when we say closed for business, we're just referring to retail sales for customers. They can have employees in there doing
Yes.
work and other stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
yes.
Just
yes,
retail
right,
sales.
Right. All right. Now, did I cover everything with that?
Did you want to put in anything about the addition of a police detail if there's non-compliance?
Oh, okay, yeah, sure, okay. Yeah, if the business is in non-compliance or violates our order, then the city can come back and seek to impose additional sanction of having a police department private detail officer on the property.
What were the hours of the security?
So what I announced was the security for all business hours and
All
the business is
business
open.
hours. I didn't
It's all
catch that.
business hours.
Apologize.
All right. Mr. Sergeant Blowers, did I forget anything?
I don't believe so, sir.
Okay. Mr. Jackson?
I believe that's complete, Mr. Chair.
Chief, did I omit anything? Okay, all right. And board,
So moved?
okay. So Ms. Ruby, you are making a motion to enter the sanctions that I just announced on the record?
Correct.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second it.
All right, Mr. Murphy is second. Any brief discussion on that?
Nope.
No? Everyone feels like they've got their say?
Everybody?
Believe it or not.
Okay. All right. Madam Secretary, call the roll for the vote.
Ms. Keefe, yea or nay?
Yes. Yay.
Mr. Murphy? Yea or
Yay.
nay? Ms. Ruby?
Yes, yay.
And Mr. Rice?
Yes. All right, the motion passes unanimously, and that concludes hearing number 2024-NAB-41 REJ Food Store. I want to thank everybody for their participation. Thank you for your patience. Sorry we didn't get it done earlier, but we like to give it adequate time, make sure everyone has the opportunity to be heard, and in fairness to everybody.
Thank you.
Briefly, the board, not. No, we stay on the record. No,
Okay.
on the record. It's not about not about this last case. This is about getting more members on the board. Sergeant Blowers had indicated to me that nobody wanted to be on the board. Is it really a matter of the city commissioners didn't get off their duff and get somebody appointed for their respective zones? I
People
know
have to
somebody who was on
apply.
the board for 20 years and he got dropped and no one asked him to be on the board. Mr. Fields was here for 20 years. But when Mr. Strickland, I guess, got elected to city commission, I think, he has the prerogative of appointing his own person. I think he probably appointed Ann, I think. Who came from Zone 2 from
I'm
Mr.
zone
Strickland?
1.
Oh, you're Zone 1, okay. I'm Zone 2.
Well, if you voted for me, you're zone 1.
Who's the Zone 2 rep? So he didn't
We
get
don't have-
reappointed here. The guy wants to serve. You're saying no one wants to serve. I got a guy who wants to serve. And
Does he still want to serve? I mean, we.
yeah, Mr. Fields, yeah.
We keep putting it out at the city commission meetings and
Yep.
stuff to that if they need board members.
Nobody, but Ann Ruby types go to city commission meetings, no offense. Citizen vigilantes.
Yes.
We're called.
I would say this. Paul.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, Tony.
If we know of someone, I mean,
Okay.
any-
I'll have him reach out to who?
Reach out to.
You or
Well,
who?
ultimately,
Betty
it's
Goodman.
To
City commission.
no,
No.
to Betty.
Betty Goodman.
Betty Goodman.
But if you reach out to Sergeant Blowers or the police department, or you can call me. I'll pass it along.
He just didn't get reappointed, and I know he was interested in serving. He's a
Yeah,
lifelong
I was
resident as well.
surprised. The situation, and it's just, it's ebb and flow. Ebb and flow.
Ebb and flow, yeah.
The situation is that there's times when there are board meetings, and then there's
Right.
giant gaps at times.
Yeah.
And we've just come off of a giant
Gap.
gap.
Yeah,
It's been
sure,
about, what,
sure.
3, 4
Right.
years. So I think that may be why we just left with these assumptions that people who hadn't gotten our attention were still interested. I mean, we've had a couple who told us they weren't gonna do it again, or was, because they were doing something else.
I got
So
you.
we just
Okay.
weren't clear.
I just that Tim had said that they're having trouble getting people to serve. I just knew of one guy who
Yeah.
had served. You remember Mr. Fields? He was
Yes,
on
I
here.
do. And I was
forever.
surprised that Mr. Fields, in fact, my paralegal asked, how come Mr. Fields? isn't
Yeah,
there?"
right, yeah.
But I didn't.
I just assumed because when Delgado resigned and Strickland got elected, that he picked his own person, is what I assumed.
I
you
don't
know.
think are they zone-specific appointments?
It
'Cause-
used to be.
Because we're 3 zone 1s right here.
Well, so it used to be, yeah.
Yeah.
It used to be the mayor appointed me, because I'm a licensed Florida attorney, which the chair has to be.
Thank goodness.
And then each city commissioner appointed somebody from their zone. So you got 3 zone 1s, it really should be from all the zones, because who's representing Midtown, right? Who's representing out west? So that's the way it used to be, but,
We're just all volunteers.
no, I know, yeah, I know, I am too, by the way.
Just again, out of fairness to the commission, I don't know if there's been a whole lot of conversation about it.
They may not
We
know they're
have not been
supposed to
having-
do it or something.
Well, knowing that we hadn't been having meetings.
Oh, yeah, so right, you're right, good point, yeah, good point, like,
So now that.
not on the radar.
Yeah, so now we're back and we have a new liaison and.
Okay.
We're on.
We're
the
gonna
floor.
whip him in shape, we're gonna get him there.
Yeah, and we're looking for, the benefit and privilege of having a board. And as you see, we shift and.
Yeah, we got an independent counsel, so you're not wearing 2 hats.
Right, exactly. And so, we've done all those things to
Yeah, good.
be able to go forward and use it to benefit the city. It's there for a purpose. The statutes are there for a purpose, and so we believe that we can utilize them to improve on some of the things.
Well, I hope
that
the
have been
city is
presented.
satisfied with what we did here today, because I think that's what, I remember years ago, because I've got all this institutional knowledge, when Darlene Jordan was running for election, she referred to the weak-kneed nuisance abatement board, because inevitably, everyone thinks that when someone comes in front of the board for petty theft, they should get the death penalty. And I'm like, no, it's petty theft. It's not punishable by death. But, and so I think that, they think that, the accusations that, we weren't tough enough or something, we weren't giving everybody the death penalty on the first time around. I try to explain, there's Supreme Court case law that says least restrictive means available to bring the business into compliance with. All right, it's 12:20. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
So moved. All right, thanks, Tony.
Good job.